Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Am I audible and visible? Yeah, good morning, Yasin, Zeba, Manpreet. Am I audible and visible? Yes, thank you. Harsha, Sejal, Purva. Great. Let some more people join in and then I'll begin. Good morning, everyone. Brajneet, Saranya, Roshan, Divyani, Manasa, Jagriti, Stephen. Good morning, Dikshit, Anjali. So yesterday I completed the Mughal Empire. We discussed all the Mughal emperors from Babur to Aurangzeb. Of course, the greatest was Akbar. So we have dealt with Akbar, the administration of Akbar, the Mansabdari system, etc. Then comes Jahangir, during whose period we have the peak of Mughal painting. And then, of course, Shah Jahan, who was the greatest builder of the Mughals. The zenith of Mughal architecture is reached when he built the Taj Mahal. And of course, Aurangzeb, during whose period the Mughal Empire reached its maximum territorial extent. We looked at the enemies he made, how it led to the rapid decline of the Mughal Empire from his time onwards. It began during the time of Shah Jahan, as I told you, because public money was used for his grand projects like the Taj Mahal, the Red Fort, etc. But then it accelerated under Aurangzeb. Uh, and soon after Aurangzeb died, we have the later Mughals who could not hold the empire together. And you know this, you study that part as part of modern India, that part, later Mughals as such. So yesterday we discussed Aurangzeb as well as the Marathas, the great Maratha warrior Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, the administration of Shivaji, what is Chaut, what is Sardesh Mukhi, what happened to the Maratha kingdom after the death of Shivaji. So we have seen all that and how the Peshwas come to limelight. So any doubts, any questions regarding yesterday's class? all was clear. Can we go to the next segment? Suri dynasty. We will discuss this Suri dynasty or Sur dynasty and of course Vijayanagara. Okay, everything is clear. Thank you. So let us talk about the Suri dynasty, the Sur dynasty. Now, as you all know, Suri dynasty, the founder was of course Sher Khan or Farid. His original name was Farid. He later came to the title of Sher Khan and later Sher Shah. We'll talk about Sher Khan or Sher Shah. So he overthrew Humayun. He defeated Humayun in two battles. The Battle of Chausa Buxar, 1539. The Battle of Chausa. So Humayun was defeated. And then in the Battle of in 1540, in the Battle of Bilgram, also known as the Battle of Kannauj. In this battle, again, Humayun was defeated by Sher Shah. And Sher Shah established the Suri dynasty. And from 1540 to 55, 1540 to 55, 1540 to 1555, there was no Mughal Empire. 1540 to 1555, there was no Mughal Empire. So the Suri dynasty lasted for only 15 years, right? So after 15 years, we have seen this, Humayun comes back and reconquers Delhi, kills the descendant of Sher Shah by name Sikandar Shah Sur in the Battle of Sirhind. So in 1555, took place the Battle of Sirhind, in which Humayun defeated and killed Sikandar Shah Sur, the grandson of Sher Shah, Sikandar Shah Sur, and thus re-established the Mughal dynasty again, the Mughal Empire again. Now, Sher Shah ruled only for 5 years, right? From 1540 to 45. He ruled only for a short period of 5 years. And in these 5 years, he brought about a number of reforms. So we will talk about Sher Shah in just a moment's time, his background, how he became from humble beginnings, how he became the king of Bihar and Bengal, and then how he also ruled over Delhi after overthrowing Humayun and took the title of Sher Shah as such. Unfortunately, Sher Shah died in an accident in 1545 while conquering the fort of Kalinjar in UP. He had surrounded the fort with his army, and artillery was being fired at the Kalinjar fort. And there was a gun burst. That is, one of the cannons burst. Instead of being fired, it burst. As a result, that is called a gun burst. And he was severely burnt in that gun burst, and he died. So 1545. And then we have the descendants of Sher Shah, who ruled over Delhi for a few years, another 10 years. And ultimately, Humayun comes back and reconquers Delhi and reestablishes the Mughal Empire. Now, Sher Shah is known for his reforms, particularly revenue reforms. So Sher Shah is called the forerunner of Akbar, revenue reforms of Sher Shah. So we have to discuss the revenue reforms of Sher Shah in detail, and of course other administrative changes he brought about, right? And if he had lived, the Suri dynasty would have lasted for a much longer time, but unfortunately that was not to be so. This is the second Afghan dynasty to rule over Delhi. Which was the first? Which was the first? The first. Yeah. Good morning, Nancy. Which was the first? The first Afghan dynasty to rule Delhi. Anyone? Lodi. Very good. Kushdeep. Lodhis. The Lodhis were the first Afghan dynasty to rule over Delhi. The Suri dynasty was the second Afghan dynasty to rule over Delhi. So this is the background of this particular topic. We will discuss Sher Shah. It's a small topic. That's why I have kept it in the end. And then I'll, of course, come to Vijayanagara in some time. So here, Suri dynasty, you can see on your screen, this is the kingdom of Sher Shah Sur, the green color. So from parts of Pakistan, present-day Pakistan, Balochistan, to almost the borders of Burma, we have the empire of Sher Shah. So who was this Sher Shah? So what was the capital of Sher Shah? Sasaram. Sasaram, that was his capital, Sasaram. So he was, they ruled from Sasaram as their capital in Bihar. So let's talk about Sher Shah. So who was this Sher Shah? His original name was Farid. Understand this? It is there on your screen. So his original name was Farid. And he was serving his father's Ikta at Khawaspur Tanda in Bihar. So in Sasaram and Khawaspur Tanda. So these are two areas in present-day Bihar. So he was serving as in the Ikta of his father. So his father was an Iktadar, or the head of the Ikta, or the governor of the Ikta. And since his father had many wives, and Farid's mother was being ill-treated by his father, he fought with his father. He fought with his father because his mother was being ill-treated by his father. So he left the services of his father, and then he went to Bihar. He went to the kingdom, which was ruled by Bahar Khan Nohani. So he was a prince of Bihar, Bahar Khan Nohani, who later became known as Muhammad Shah. Okay, Muhammad Shah. So he goes there he becomes a good friend of Bahar Khan Nohani. And once on a hunting expedition, when he was with Bahar Khan Nohani, a tiger is supposed to have pounced upon Bahar Khan Nohani. And Farid managed to kill the tiger and save the life of Bahar Khan Nohani. Thereupon, Bahar Khan Nohani, the prince of Bihar, gave the title of Sher Khan to Farid. So from then onwards, he came to be called Sher Khan. Right? Now, what happened? He occupied the fort of Chunar in UP. So Chunar is a place in UP. This was under the control of a widow called Lard Malika. So he marries this widow called Lard Malika, and the Chunar fort came under his control. His friend Bahar Khan Nohani later became Muhammad Shah, the ruler of Bihar. And unfortunately, he died. So once the Bahar Khan Nohani or Muhammad Shah died, this Sher Khan acted as a regent to his friend's son, the king of Bihar's son, acted as the regent or representative, because that boy was still small. He was a young boy. and later he killed that boy. He killed his friend's son, right, whom his friend had trusted so much, and then he usurped the throne of Bihar. He took over the throne of Bihar, and later he also conquered Bengal. So this is how this Farid became Sher Khan, and then later Sher Shah. We'll come to that in some time. So he became the ruler of Bihar and then ruler of Bengal. He ended the Ilyas dynasty there. So factual information. So he became the ruler of Bihar and then later Bengal. Now, in two battles, we have seen this. It is 1539 in the Battle of Chausa Baksa. He defeated Humayun and took the title Farid al-Din Sher Shah. So took the title Farid al-Din Sher Shah. Now, we saw this that Humayun asked help from his stepbrothers, but none of them helped him. Somehow he gathered another army, and again he challenged Sher Shah, who again defeated Humayun in the Battle of Bilgram or Kanauj. So this is the second defeat of Humayun, and this was the end of the Mughal dynasty. And you have Sher Shah ascending the throne of Delhi. So he took control of Delhi, and Humayun became a king without a kingdom, right? So he became a king without a kingdom. So he conquered many areas. He put down the Kukas of the salt ranges. Then he conquered Raisen from Puranmal, and and then of course we have the Battle of Giri Sumel or the Battle of Samel, where Sher Shah fought against Maldev Rathor of Marwar. So the king of Marwar was Maldev Rathor. So this was a very decisive battle which was fought, and through a very smart move, you can call it as a trick, Sher Shah was able to defeat Maldev Rathor of Marwar. So what happened is the Battle of Samel or Giri Sumel, as it is called. In this battle, Sher Shah's army was outnumbered by Maldev Rathor of Marwar. So Maldev had made an alliance with many Rajput kings. Okay, so many Rajput kings had come together, and they had, they had furnished their army to Maldev Rathor of Marwar. So here, what happened is when Sher Shah came to know that his army strength is much lesser than that of Maldev Rathor of Marwar, he wrote letters. He wrote letters as if many of the commanders under Maldev Rathor would be shifting loyalties tomorrow in the midst of the battle. So he made copies of these letters, right? And he saw to it that those letters are dropped near the camp of Maldev Rathor. So as if some messenger was carrying those letters, and then he has by mistake dropped it. So the soldiers of Maldev Rathor picked up those letters and read it and showed it to Maldev Rathor of Marwar. So Maldev was confused. He did not know what to do, and he did not want to take a chance with his feudal levies, because many rajas had contributed army to Maldev Rathor. So in the midst of the night, he took his army and went away, right? And that way, next day, the Rajput army was drastically reduced, and Sher Shah was able to defeat that army. So through this trick, he was able to, you can call it as deceit, but then he used his brain and he won this battle. And therefore, when he won this battle, he makes a remark. He said, "I would have lost Hindustan for a handful of millet. I would have lost the empire of Hindustan for a handful of millet." What is grown in Rajasthan? Millets, bajra, and other millets, right? So just to conquer a few parts of Rajasthan, I would have lost the empire of Hindustan, he says. So this is the Battle of Sumel or Giri Sumel, as it was called. In 1545, in an accident, as I told you, he died while trying to conquer Kalinjar fort. Kalinjar is another fort in UP. So he tried to conquer that fort. There was a gun burst. He was standing next to a cannon. And when the cannon ball was fired at the fort wall, it misfired. The ball did not come out of the cannon. In fact, it burst within the cannon. Within the cannon, that's called gun burst, and he died. So he was profusely, wounded. He was badly burnt, and he died. Right. So he had built his own tomb at Sasaram in Bihar. So this is in the midst of an artificial lake. You can see here on your screen, this is the tomb of Sher Shah. So he had already constructed this tomb his own tomb. It is in the midst of an artificial lake, and it has elements of a Buddhist stupa, a Hindu temple, and a Muslim mosque as such. It looks like that. A Buddhist stupa, a Hindu temple, and a Muslim mosque. It's a combination of all these three designs. So this was about Sher Shah, short span of 5 years after he became the ruler at Delhi, right? Now, let us look at some of the, right, we'll come to the reforms of Sher Shah in just a moment's time, right? So, Sher Shah was succeeded by his son Jalal Khan or Islam Shah Tusur, who took the title of Islam Shah, Jalal Khan. So he tried to codify Islamic laws. You have the Shariat, which will be interpreted by the Muslim gurus, Muslim religious teachers, the ulemas. So therefore, while interpreting this, there might be differences between one Maulvi and another Maulvi, or one Muslim clergy and another Muslim clergy. So therefore, he tried to codify Islamic laws, but he failed. He was not able to do that. He failed, and he died of fistula. When he suffered from a serious case of fistula, and he died. So Jalal Khan died, or Islam Shah Sur died, and then we have another descendant of Sher Shah, Muhammad Adil Shah. This Muhammad Adil Shah lost Delhi. Understand this? He was the fourth king of the dynasty. So he lost Delhi to his brother-in-law, Ibrahim Shah Sur. Ibrahim Shah Sur, the brother-in-law, I have written in short bill, brother-in-law. So his brother-in-law, Ibrahim Shah Suri, conquered Delhi from Muhammad Adil Shah. And Muhammad Adil Shah became the ruler of Bihar. And that is a time when, you remember I told you, we have the second battle of Panipat, which was fought. This was the man, Muhammad Adil Shah Sur, who sent his Hindu commander, Hemu, to fight against Akbar and Bairam Khan. And of course, Hemu was killed, and Destiny had other plans. Hemu was killed, though the army of Hemu was winning, he was killed, and then the Mughal empire was re-established, and Delhi was reconquered by the Mughals. So this was the man who sent his commander to fight against Akbar and Hemu Akbar and Bairam Khan in the second battle of Panipat, right? And then we have the sixth king, Sikandar Shah Sur, a grandson of Sher Shah. So he reconquered Delhi from Ibrahim Shah Sur, and 15 years had lapsed since Humayun had lost Delhi. So after 15 years, Humayun comes back, fights and kills Sikandar Shah Sur in the Battle of Sirhind in 1555 and re-establishes the Mughal Empire, right? So this is how the Mughal Empire was re-established. Are you clear till here? This is factual information. Fistula, you just Google, piles and fistula. It comes along with files. It is something like piles, right? Yasin. So clear. So factual information. So this is how the Sur dynasty came to an end. Let us look at the reforms of Sher Shah. Let us look at the reforms of Sher Shah. So this is one of the tombs belonging to the Surs, Isa Khan's tomb in Delhi. It is an octagon. It is in the shape of an octagon. It is in the shape of an octagon. Right, we'll come back here. So Sher Shah's administration is important. Sher Shah's administration is important. Administrative innovations, and many of the administrative innovations, revenue reforms of Sher Shah were copied by Akbar. Akbar copied many of the reforms of Sher Shah. Now, what about the administration of Sher Shah? See, he centralized the administration, and he copied the central administration of the Delhi Sultans, but with more power in the hands of the king. So the king had exemplary powers when compared to the Delhi Sultans. So he adopted the administration of the Delhi Sultans. That is number one. Number two is he supervised every branch of administration. He tried some experiments. He appointed the office of a deputy subedar in Bengal. So you have a subedar or a governor of Bengal. He appointed the post of a deputy subedar, and this experiment failed. So this experiment failed. Then he divided Bengal into four parts under four governors, four officers, and under the subedar. So Bengal was divided into four parts, right? Under four officers, and they were under the subedar. This experiment also failed, right? Then we have Sher Shah dividing the kingdom in the following manner, as you can see on your screen. The kingdom was divided into districts into taluks or parganas, and then you have a village. And he appointed two officers of equal rank at the district and pargana level. And this particular aspect was copied by Akbar. So here, look at the screen on your in front of you. We have the kingdom divided into districts. I put an arrow mark here. You can see here. So that's how it was hierarchically from top to down. So district was called Sarkar, and there were 47 Sarkars in the time of Sher Shah. So in each district there was an officer. There were two officers of equal rank. One was the Shikdari Shikdaran. The Shikdar Ishikdaran, who was in charge of law and order, general administration, and criminal justice. The Munsifan, he was in charge of local revenue and civil justice. So they acted as a check on each other, the Shikdar Ishikdaran and the Munsife Munsifan, two officers of equal rank. And of course, you have the Poddar, who was the treasurer, right? This was changed by the British. See, uh, at the district level, you have two officers of equal rank appointed by Sher Shah. Akbar copied it, right? At the provincial level, you have a Subedar and a Faujdar of equal rank. Even at the district level and the Pargana level, he kept two officers of equal rank. Now, the British changed it where exemplary powers were given to the district collector, as you all know, the DC or the district collector, district magistrate, and then you have the police head who is the SP nowadays. But then, if many of you do not know this, the DC is the one who writes the confidential report of the SP. And if he writes any negative remark, then the promotion of the SP can be affected. So the district head is the has more powers than the SP. So the difference is only a few marks, and of course the choice of service in the examination. But then the IAS officer, who is the district collector, has more powers. That's how the British had designed it, and even now it continues. In fact, even the SP cannot order firing or impose curfew without the permission of the district collector. So he is the representative of the government at the district level. These are the changes brought about by the British, and we are following that. So here, Sher Shah appointed two officers of equal rank so that they can balance each other out. And if all the power is in the hands of one person, it might lead to misuse of power, right? So district. Then below that came the Pargana or the Taluk, right, under a Shikdar. So he performed the same type of functions which the Shikdari Shikdaran performed at the Sarkar level. So the Shikdar was in charge of law and order and criminal justice. You see here, same type of functions which he performed like the Shikdari Shikdaran, but at the Taluk level or the Pargana level. Then you have a Munsif or Amin in charge of land revenue and civil justice. So he performed the same type of functions like the Munsifan at the Sarkar level, right? Then you have a Kanungo in charge of revenue records. So Kanungo office was also retained by Akbar, as you know. Kanungo in charge of revenue records at the Taluk level. Then you have a village. Patwari was in charge here, assisted by an accountant called Khatri. So accountant was called Khatri. Village headman was of a hereditary office. Head of the village headman was having a hereditary office. So he appointed two officers of equal rank at the district and Pargana level, and any theft or dacoity, etc., happened in the premises of the or in the periphery of the village. So let us say somebody loot a merchant's goods, or some travelers are waylaid and then robbed. Then the local zamindar of that area and the village headman will be held responsible for local law and order problems, including theft and dacoity. So he held the local headman and the zamindar responsible for theft, dacoity, and other law and order issues. So they had to, see that such a thing doesn't happen in their zone, right? So local people were held responsible for maintaining law and order. Then let us talk about the revenue reforms of Sher Shah. LO is law and order. Purva. In short, I have written LO. LO is law and order. Police duties. Right? Purva. But you don't write LO in the examination. If there's you have to write law and order fully. Okay. Then we'll come to revenue administration. Now, please understand, Sher Shah is the first king in the history of India to recognize an individual farmer as the owner of his plot of land. So please understand that. See, from the beginning, from ancient times, all land belonged to the king. So theoretically, in theory, the king was the supreme head. You all know that, of course. And all land belonged to the king, in theory. So all land belonged to him. All land belongs to the king. Belongs to king. But in practice, what was the case? In practice, whoever tills the land, whoever plows the land was recognized as the owner of that plot of land. Okay, so for example, let us say there's a person called A. Okay, and he is tilling this land, this piece of land, which is about, let us say, 1 acre. Now, since that person has been tilling the land and his forefathers were tilling the land, he was recognized as the owner of that plot of land. But that person called A did not have any document with him to substantiate the fact that he was the owner of that land. For example, let us say you're staying in your own house, right? You will have your parents will have a documentary proof with them that that site or that flat belongs to them, and they'll be paying property tax because they are the landlord of that particular house or flat. But then here there was no document with the farmer, right? Now, Sher Shah was the first king in the history of India to recognize that farmer as the owner of that plot of land by giving a document from the government called Patta. So, Patta was the title deed. So, so Patta was the title deed. What is this title deed? It will mention the name of that farmer, okay, and the dimension of land he is owning, and what type of crop is grown there. Okay, so that is called title deed. That is called patta. So let us say this is the document, okay, in which A is recognized as the owner of that plot of land of 1 acre, and these are the type of crops grown there on that land, etc. So that is called patta. Then, so the patta is given to the farmer. In return, the farmer has to sign a document called kabuliyat. This is called acceptance deed. Acceptance deed. So acceptance deed. So here the meaning is, let us say I am a farmer. Okay, I am A. I'm a farmer A, and they have government of Sher Shah has recognized me as the owner of that 1 acre of land. Doesn't mean that I can do anything with that land. I have certain obligations towards the government. So what is the obligation I have? I'm supposed to cultivate the land every year. And once the harvest has been done, I'm supposed to give the tax due to the government. Whatever is the tax fixed by the government, I'm supposed to give that tax to the government. That is called kabuliyat. So this is called acceptance deed. So this particular system was later called the Rayatwari system by the British, where the Rayat or the farmer became the owner of his plot of land. Did you understand? So from Sher Shah's system arose the Rayatwari system, where the individual farmer, was recognized as the owner of his plot of land by the British. So this was an extension of Sher Shah's system by the British, a copy of Sher Shah's system, where Sher Shah had recognized that farmer as the owner of that plot of land. So here you see on your screen, assessment of land revenue was based on measurement of land. So land was measured and then the rate of tax, land tax was fixed. And what was the measuring yard used or the measuring stick used? That of Sikandar Lodi, Ghazi Sikandari on your screen, as you can see, Ghazi Sikandari, which was of a length of 33 inches. So it was 33 inches long, this measuring stick. So with that, they will measure the land, okay, and then they'll fix the tax. Then land was divided into three categories on the basis of fertility: good, bad, middling. Good, middling, and bad. So good, bad, middling. So you remember Akbar, Todarmal and Muzaffar Khan Turbati, they divided the land into how many categories, if you remember? Hello? How many categories? No, four. Kushdeep is right. Pulaj, Paroti, Chachar, Banjar, isn't it? Pulaj, Paroti, Chachar, Banjar. So here, Sher Shah had divided the land into three parts: good, middling, and bad. Good land where you can grow 2 to 3 crops in a year. Middling land is maybe one crop in a year, and then bad land is bad land where you cannot grow much on that land. Then average produce from these three types of land was taken into consideration, and 1/3 of the average produce was fixed as the land revenue, and that is called RICE system. So average produce from three types of land was fixed, and 1/3 of the average produce per biga was fixed as the land revenue. This system is called RAI, and this was adopted by Akbar. So Akbar copied this Sher Shah system revenue reforms, right? Then I told you he gave each peasant a patta. Patta is a title deed, right? So recognizing that farmer as the owner of that plot of land. And in turn, the farmer was supposed to sign a kabuliyat, acceptance deed, that he has certain obligations towards the government and he'll fulfill those obligations. That is called kabuliyat. Are you clear with patta and kabuliyat? Yeah, good morning, Shambhavi. Kabuliyat is acceptance deed. The farmer has certain obligations towards the government. Just because the government has recognized him as the owner of that plot of land doesn't mean he can just sit idle. He has obligations towards the government. That is cultivating the land, that piece of land every year regularly, then paying the taxes due to the government, etc. That is called Kabuliyat, right? So so I have given you the example, Shabir, like for example, I told you when I did Akbar, you have average produce of last 10 years, the Dahasala system. So this is a piece of land. Let's say this is a piece of land. This was the experiment brought out by Akbar. So experiments were done for 10 years by Todarmal and Muzaffar Khan Turbati under Akbar. And then the average produce of various crops in the last 10 years was taken into consideration, right? Like, for example, this is rice, okay, paddy, then let us say this is wheat, then pulses, etc. So one in the first year, what was the price of wheat, rice? That is filled up. Second year, what was the price? So last 10 years, average produce was taken into consideration. Average prices were also taken into consideration. And one third of the average produce fixed in rupees per bigha was fixed as a land revenue. So the same system, which was earlier done by Sher Shah, was copied by Akbar, right? That is called, are you clear? Uh, who's this? Shabir, right? Shabir, clear? That is what it is. That is called rice system. Rice system was copied by Akbar of Sher Shah. Further, look at the foresight of Sher Shah here on your screen. We'll look at the fifth point. He collected a famine relief fund in advance, without waiting for the famine to happen first. So he collected assets of 2.5 shares per bigha, unit of land. So 2.5 shares per bigha, everybody had to pay taxes in kind. So that was stored in the go down. And in case there was a famine, rains failed, then from the go down, the food will be disbursed to the people. It is their food. They are the ones who have contributed that cess earlier, and the same thing is given back to them in times of crisis like a famine, right? So that's another thing. Then he also charged surveyor's fee and tax collector's fee. So what is the surveyor's fee? You see, revenue collectors will come. The survey from the survey department. They'll come and survey the land. What is the type of land or the quality of the soil that land has? What are the type of crops grown there? How many crops are grown there in a year? So that is called survey. It is measured. All the land is measured, etc. Right? And then the tax that is called jaribana, survey charge of 2.5% survey charge, jaribana. Remember these words, revenue terms, jaribana. Then you have the tax collector's fees, muhasilana, right? Muhasilana, tax collector's fee charge of 5%. So he charged those taxes. Then, of course, directly, the farmers were supposed to pay taxes directly to the government. There was no middleman. This was to avoid corruption, right? So these are the revenue reforms of Sher Shah. Are you clear? Can I move on? Yeah, well, unfortunately, of course, he was a very, very smart ruler. And he had the experience, as a youngster, he had worked in the Ikta of his father. On the land, he had worked. So he had observed many things and he felt he had his own mind. And once he became the ruler, he implemented that. And please understand, Raja Todarmal worked under Sher Shah. Raja Todarmal worked under Sher Shah and later also worked under Akbar. 1 bigha is 1/20th of a, no, sorry, 1 biswa is 1/20th of a bigha. 1 bigha is a unit of land. I'm not sure how much of acre the 1 bigha would be. So I failed to answer that question. 1 bigha means how many land? It is a unit of land, right? Unit of land. Cess is a tax, Dikshit. Cess is a tax. So, this was a separate tax collected. Survey was Yasin. See, we know that which was the earliest tax collected in the history of India? Bhaga. You remember? Bhaga was the earliest tax collected by the kings. We have in the later Vedic period. That was the earliest tax collected. Bhaga, king's share, right? So without measuring the land, without surveying and measuring the land, obviously you cannot collect taxes. So survey system would have been there even earlier. When it started, we will not be able to say. But then around the time when tax began to be collected from the land. Once the tax began to be collected in cash or kind, obviously there'll be a survey done, and then the measurement will be done. So that's how it is, right, Yasin? So we have to use our common sense for that. Exact date cannot be given, but around the time when we have the system of collection of land revenue, right? In the later Vedic period, agriculture becomes the main occupation. Remember, I had told you. And we have early kingdoms which came into existence, no, the Janapadas which came into existence. So the king began to collect taxes. He had 12 group of 12 ministers, Ratnins, to advise him. Dvadash Ratnins. We have discussed all this when I did ancient India. So around the time we have the king collecting taxes from land. So obviously, as I told you, I'm repeating the same thing. Survey would have been done, and then the tax would have been collected. So here then we have some important revenue terms. I have put a chart for you. The same thing, Rai or Ray, crop rate, Mosilana, that is tax collector's fee, Jaribana, surveyor's fee, Patta was a title deed which was given to the farmer, Kavaliyat was the deed of agreement. So the farmer agreed to those terms and conditions, and he said that he will fulfill all those terms and conditions. That is called Kabuliyat, acceptance deed, which copy the government kept. So he revived the dog and chehra system. Who introduced dog and chehra system? 40 biga is equal to 1 year. Okay, Chinuru, thank you. So who introduced dog and chehra? Very good. Alauddin, Satyam, very good. So Satyam, so he revived dog and chehra, Sher Shah, improved military standards, stopped tribal levies. So he had a regular standing army, set up cantonments at important places. So these are the various reforms of Sher Shah, kept experienced of men in those garrisons, revived the dog and chehra system. Then he built a number of roads, repaired old ones, established caravansarais. Caravansarais are rest houses every 2 course. So on the highway, nowadays we have highways, and at important places we have hotels, lodges, etc. For varied travelers to take rest, etc. So here, like that, he established caravansarais every 2 course. That is 8 kilometers. And these later developed into market towns or kasbas. So people would come there, okay, they'll take rest. So that became a frequent meeting point for people, right? So you have market towns, kasbas, developing around those sarais in course of time. And also they acted as stages for the news service. So you have the person who's carrying the courier or the news. He will come and stop there. He'll take some rest, and also he will proceed further. So they tackled in various ways. These caravansarais established by Sher Shah. Custom duty was collected at 2 places. One at the time of entering the country, that is entering his kingdom, and the other at the time of sale of goods. So he collected taxes at 2 places. Imported goods were taxed at 2 points of entry. Siliguri in Bengal, Atok on the river Indus. So Siliguri and Atok, that is a place where he collected custom duties. Imported goods were taxed at these 2 places. Then he brought out certain numismatic reforms, introduced gold, silver, copper coins. Gold coins of Sher Shah is called mohar, 169 grains. So gold coins were called mohar. Silver coin was called rupiah, and later it became rupees. So whatever rupees we are calling is a legacy of Sher Shah. So Sher Shah silver coin called rupiah became rupees later, right? And then of course copper coin of 330 grains. We have different denominations: 1/4, half, 1/8, 16th. So 1/16th. It was called dam or paisa. That's the copper coin of Sher Shah. Then he built 3 roads, as you can see: Agra, Jodhpur, Agra to Chittor, Lahore to Multan. And then he restored the Grand Trunk Road. You have the Grand Trunk Road from Takshashila to Pataliputra. That was further extended by the British, which later became known as the Grand Trunk Road. So he restored the Grand Trunk Road from Sonargaon in Bengal to the Indus. Sonargaon in Bengal up to the Indus, and the British further extended it, which came to be called the GTR, or the Grand Trunk Road. So Agra to Jodhpur, Agra to Chittor, Lahore to Multan. These are the roads built by him. So in these 5 years, short period of 5 years, as a king, he did a lot of wonderful things. So this is the end of Sher Shah. Grains, Chenuru, you're asking what a grain? Grains, grains, food grains. Grand Trunk Road. So it later came to be called the Grand Trunk Road by the British, right? Already a highway existed. It was further extended and improved by the British, which later came to be called the GTR, the Grand Trunk Road. Takshashila is located in present-day Pakistan. Taxila. Jagani. Okay, Sham, I have answered your question, right? So this is about Shersha. Can we go to Vijayanagara now? All clear? No, here that later came to be called the GT Road, Zeba. Okay, so it was from Sonargaon to Indus, and he further extended it. It was further extended by the British. They later came to be called as the Grand Trunk Road. Kasbah market towns. Market towns. Kasbah is like a market town. So caravan surveys slowly developed into kasbahs or market towns, and also stages for the news service. Okay, right. So let us come to Vijayanagara. Vijayanagara Empire. What do you know about Vijayanagara? Hello? What do you know about Vijayanagara? Anybody? Hariharan, Bukka, Sesham. Okay, they were the founders. Located in Hampi. The capital of the Vijayanagara kings was Hampi. Okay, ruled by 4 dynasties. Rajneesh, Harika, right? Hemalata, Krishnadevaraya was the greatest of the kings. Dikshit, Hemalata, very good. Nayakas were from Vijayanagara kingdom. Military commanders called Nayakas. Chariot is famous, says Kushi, the monolithic chariot at Hampe. Greatest empire of Karnataka. Stephen says that they ruled over major parts of present-day Andhra, Karnataka, and parts of Tamil Nadu. Okay, so even the Andhra people claim, Krishnadevaraya has their king. So in fact, he was called Andhra Boja. Irrigation was advanced. Art, culture, literature flourished under them. Hemalata says that. So, okay, so you know quite a lot about this particular kingdom. Ramaraya destroyed Vijayanagara. Okay. Palegar system of Karthik. Okay, very good. So you know quite a lot. So should I do that chapter then? You know quite a lot. So Tungabhadra River. Okay, so let us talk about this topic. Vijayanagara, Bahamani Kingdom. Okay, I know nothing. Oh, I'm just joking, Roshan. I have to do it. Okay, we'll come back here. You see, Muhammad bin Tughlaq was the emperor, right? Muhammad bin Tughlaq was the emperor at Delhi. We saw this. During the last 10 years of his reign, 34 rebellions took place, and out of 34 rebellions, 27 of them took place in the south. 27 of them took place in South India, and a number of kingdoms were established. In 1336, we have Vijayanagara established. Vijayanagara, established by two brothers, Harihara and Bukka, right? Then in 1347, we have in the vicinity of Vijayanagara, very near to Vijayanagara, we have the Bahamani kingdom established. So listen to me now. Bahamani kingdom was established, right? So one of the officers under Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Hassan Gangu. So here Hassan Gangu. So I'm giving you a bird's eye view of Vijayanagara. Okay, understand this. I'm giving you a bird's eye view of Vijayanagara. Rest we'll discuss. It is factual in nature, so nothing analytical here. So, but I'll give you a bird's eye view. Once you understand the bird's eye view of Vijayanagara, then it will be very easy to understand and relate to this topic. So, during the time of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, two important kingdoms were established. There were other kingdoms established, like the Madurai Sultanate by Sayyid Hasan Shah of Mabar. But then Vijayanagara was the most important, and of course, Bahamani kingdom established by Hassan Gangu. Now, this Vijayanagara and Bahamani fought over 3 areas. Understand this? They fought over three areas. So, religion was never the issue here. So, don't make it a Hindu-Muslim conflict. Definitely not, because you have equal number of Hindus serving in the Bahamani army, and quite a lot of Muslims are serving even in the Vijayanagara army. So there was never a Hindu-Muslim conflict. This is a European construct. This is a European interpretation or a construct to serve their own selfish interests, right? The British did this to justify their own rule over us. So therefore, be very careful about how we need to interpret Vijayanagara and the conflict of Vijayanagara with the Bahamanis. So they fought over three main areas. One is the Krishna Tungabhadra basin, or what is called the Raichur Doab, the fertile belt of land between the Krishna and the Tungabhadra. And we have seen this from ancient times, from the Pallava Chalukya time. This became the bone of contention between the Pallavas and the Chalukyas of Badami. And down the centuries, we saw that also, that their successors also fought over this area. So one is the Krishna Tungabhadra basin. Then the second is the Krishna Godavari Delta, the fertile belt of land between the Krishna and the Godavari, KG Delta, I said. And the third is the Konkan coast, where you have Goa and such places, Konkan coast. So these three areas became the bone of contention between Vijayanagara and Bahamani Sultanate. Okay, now, nobody knew about Vijayanagara until 1900. Nobody knew about Vijayanagara until the year 1900. That is about 124 years back. Isn't it? Yeah, about 124 years back, nobody knew about Vijayanagara. Then we have a British author called Robert Sewell. Robert Sewell. He writes a book, A Forgotten Empire. The Forgotten Empire. He writes a book called Forgotten Empire. Now, a number of travelers, please understand, had come to Vijayanagara in its heydays. When Vijayanagara was flourishing, a number of travelers had come. Ibn Battuta came, Domingo Paz, Fernão Nunes, Duarte Eduardo Barbosa, Nikitin, right, etc. So, number of travelers came from Portugal, from Italy, from Africa. Ibn Battuta was from Africa. So they came from various countries and they speak about Vijayanagara. They, in their documents, in their travelogues, mentioned many details about Vijayanagara, about the society, about the political structure, about the king, about the economy, etc., how rich it was, and so on and so forth. Robert Sewell collected the travelogues of two people. One is Domingo Paz and Fernão Nunes. So he collected the travelogues of Domingo Paz, okay, and Fernão Nunes. He had translated those books into English and he wrote a book called The Forgotten Empire. So whatever we are discussing, most of the information come from these two travelogues, Domingo Paz and Fernão Nunes. And The Forgotten Empire is nothing but a translation of the Domingo Paz's travelogue as well as the travelogue of Fernão Nunes. So once that Forgotten Empire book was published, the world came to know about the so-called Forgotten Kingdom, the Vijayanagara. Right. Now, Vijayanagara was ruled by four dynasties in order. So what are the four dynasties? We have the Sangama dynasty. So Vijayanagara lasted from 1336 to 1648. This was the time period of Vijayanagara, 1336 to 1648. And in this period, we have four dynasties ruling Vijayanagara. Sangama dynasty, then we have the Saluva dynasty, the Tuluva dynasty, and the Arabidu dynasty. Arabidu. Sangama, Saluva, Tuluva, Arabidu. Now, who are the important kings of the Sangama dynasty? Of course, we have Harihara the first, Bukka the first, Harihara the second, Devaraya the first, and Devaraya the second. These are the important kings of the Sangama dynasty. We'll come to the factual information. Just hold on. Just understand this. So, Sangama dynasty was the first dynasty. Like we have done Delhi Sultanate. There were 5 dynasties: Slave, Khaljis, Tughlaq, Saiz, Lodhis. Like that, Vijayanagara, Sangama, Saluva, Tuluva, Arabidu. So, who are the important kings? Harihara the first, Bukka the first, Devaraya the first, and Devaraya the second. Then, Sangama dynasty was succeeded by the Saluva dynasty. We'll come to that. Saluva Narasimha was the founder. He killed the last Sangama king, Proudadevaraya, and established the Saluva dynasty. Then we have the Tuluva dynasty. The last Saluva king was killed by Veera Narasimha. So Immadi Narasimha, Narasimha the two, was killed by Veera Narasimha, who established the Tuluva dynasty. So we have something called first usurpation, second usurpation. I'll talk about it later. First, what is usurpation? Forcibly snatching away the throne by killing the king, okay, or by arresting the king, or disposing of the ruler in various methods. So you snatch the throne away. So we have the Saluvas coming to power after overthrowing the Sangama kings. That is called first usurpation. Tuluvas overthrew the Saluvas and came to power. That is called the second usurpation. The greatest of the Vijayanagar kings was Krishnadeva Raya. In short, KD Raya. So don't write KD Raya in the examination. Write Krishnadeva Raya. In short, I have written KD Raya. So Krishnadeva Raya, greatest of the Vijayanagar kings. So who was a contemporary of Babur. So 1509 to 29. He ruled from 1509 to 29. Right? Right? So just focus, Amaresh, just focus on what I'm saying. I'll come back to your questions later. So Tuluva, the greatest of the Vijayanagar kings, belonged to the Tuluva dynasty. His name was Krishnadeva Raya. So we have to speak about Krishnadeva Raya. Like Alauddin Khalji is the greatest of the Delhi Sultans. We discussed Alauddin Khalji in detail. Like that, we have to discuss Krishnadeva Raya in detail. Because in Vijayanagar chapter, he is the most important king. Krishnadeva Raya, who ruled for a solid 20 years. And he defeated all the kings of South India, including the king of Orissa, the Gajapati dynasties, the Gajapati dynasty which ruled Orissa. So Bidar, Gulbarga, Bijapur, etc. He defeated all these kings. And he was a contemporary of Babur. If you remember Babur's autobiography, Tuzuki Baburi, he says that when he came to India, there were 5 Musalman kings and 2 Kafirs. And among the 7 kings, the greatest, the most powerful, and a man of justice was Krishnadeva Raya. So Babur speaks highly about Krishnadeva Raya. So we'll talk about Krishnadeva Raya in detail. Now what happened? Understand this. Vijayanagara and Bahamani kingdoms fought over 3 areas: Krishna Tungabhadra Basin, that is the Raichur Doab, the Krishna Godavari Delta, and the Konkan coast. Now, this Bahamani kingdom was one huge kingdom. Understand this? I'll use another page. This Bahamani kingdom was one huge kingdom once upon a time. Bahamani kingdom. It was established in 1347 by Hassan Gangu, one of the officers under Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Hassan Gangu. So he rebelled against Muhammad bin Tughlaq and established the Bahamani kingdom. And he took the title Abdul Muzaffar Alauddin Bahaman Shah. So the word Bahamani comes from there. Abdul Muzaffar Alauddin Bahaman Shah. And the word Bahamani comes from there. Okay. Now, this Bahamani kingdom had Gulbarga as its capital. Gulbarga, which is in Karnataka, northern part of Karnataka. That was the capital of the Bahamani kings. Later, it was shifted to Bidar. Bidar, it was shifted. The capital was shifted to Bidar. Now, we have some great kings who ruled over the Bahamani kingdom. Like, for example, Firuz Shah Bahamani, Ahmad Shah Wali, etc. Then we come to a person called Muhammad Shah III. Muhammad Shah III. Okay, now what happened? During the time of Muhammad Shah III, he had a minister. His name was Mahmud Gawan. Understand this? Mahmud Gawan. He was a foreigner, Afaki. Afaki means foreigner. A foreign Muslim. He was from West Asia, somewhere in West Asia. He had come and he had sought employment under Muhammad Shah III. And Mahmud Gawan rose in stature. He became the prime minister, wakil or prime minister of Muhammad Shah III. He expanded the Bahamani kingdom rapidly. He defeated Vijayanagara. He conquered the Krishna Tungabhadra Basin, the Krishna Godavari Delta, Goa, Chaul, Dabhol, with ports like Goa, Chaul, Dabhol, etc. And he expanded the kingdom rapidly, Mahmud Gawan. And he also built a college at Bidar. This is called a madrasa. Madrasa is a college, as you know. So he built a madrasa at Bidar in Karnataka. This was a UPSC question asked. Now look here, what happened? The local Muslims, the Deccani Muslims, were very jealous of this Mahmud Gaman, the Deccani Muslims. The Deccani nobles were very jealous of Mahmud Gawan. Now, why were they jealous of him? He has come from some other country and he is bossing over them. That's what they thought because he was the prime minister, very close to the emperor Muhammad Shah III, and they had to take from Mahmud Gawan. So they did not like it. These local Muslims, the Deccani Muslim nobles. So they were conspiring against Mahmud Gawan. They would carry tales against Mahmud Gawan and try to spoil the good cordial relations between Muhammad Shah III, the king, and his minister, Prime Minister Mahmud Gawan. One day, what happened is this Muhammad Shah III was fully drunk. He was fully drunk, and these Deccani Muslims, Deccani Muslim nobles, they wrote a letter. They fabricated a letter, as if written by Mahmud Gawan, inviting the king of Orissa to attack the Bahmani kingdom. And if the Orissa king attacks the Bahmani kingdom, then Mahmud Gawan is going to support the Orissa king. So they wrote a letter like this. I repeat, they wrote a letter, they fabricated a letter in which it was stated that Mahmud Gawan is inviting the king of Orissa to attack the Bahmani kingdom. And if the Orissa king attacks the Bahmani kingdom, then Mahmud Gawan is going to switch loyalties. He's going to support the Orissa king against his own king. So they forged his signature, put his seal, and, and they told the king, who was fully drunk, that some messenger was carrying this letter to the Orissa king, and we caught hold of him and we found this letter. So please read that. Muhammad Shah III read that letter. No, he was in a fit of rage. When he read that letter, he was fully drunk, and he read that letter, and he lost his judgment, right? And he immediately ordered, in the state of drunkenness, he immediately ordered the execution of Mahmud Gawan. So Mahmud Gawan was immediately killed. When his nasha came down, alcohol effect came down, the king Muhammad Shah III realized that this was a conspiracy. It was too late now, but then he realized that it was a mistake on his part. Mahmud Gawan had not done anything like that, and this was a conspiracy to finish him off. But it was too late, and the king began to lament. No, he had a heartburn. His heart started burning because on his orders, a loyal servant in the form of Mahmud Gawan had been executed. Within a year, Muhammad Shah died. Okay, within a year, Muhammad Shah died, and then you have the drastic decline of the Bahmani kingdom. Shihabuddin Muhammad was the last king who succeeded Muhammad Shah III, and the Bahmani kingdom, which was one huge kingdom till then, split up into 5 states. It broke up into 5 states. Look here on your screen. What are the 5 states? Bijapur, Golconda, Bidar, Birar, and Ahmednagar. So we have these dynasties here. The the Adil Shahis of Bijapur, the Adil Shahis of Bijapur, the Qutub Shahis of Golconda, the Barid Shahis of Bidar, the Imad Shahis of Birar, and of course the Nizam Shahis of Ahmednagar. Are you clear here, whatever I told you just now? Are you clear with that story? Clear? Now, so here we have 5 dynasty, 5 houses broke up from the Bahmani kingdom. 5 kingdoms were born out of the Bahmani kingdom: Bijapur, Golconda, Bidar, Birar, Ahmednagar. And among these 5 splinter states, they are called the 5 splinter states. Bijapur was the most powerful. And we have these splinter states also fighting against Vijayanagara. Okay, mostly Bijapur. Now, look here on your screen. Krishnadevaraya, I told you, look at the screen behind. Krishnadevaraya was the greatest of the Vijayanagar kings. Okay, you all know this. He belonged to the Tuluva dynasty. What happened to Vijayanagara after Krishnadevaraya? What happened to Vijayanagara after Krishnadevaraya? So you look here on your screen. Krishnadevaraya died. When did he die? 1529. He was succeeded by his half brother Achyutaraya, step brother Achyutaraya. Then Krishnadevaraya had no sons. We are told that he had a small son, and and his son was poisoned to death by enemies. But so he had no son. He had a daughter. Her name was Tirumalamba. Understand this. Her name was Tirumalamba, daughter of Krishnadevaraya. Tirumalamba. Tirumalamba. Okay. And this Tirumalamba was given in marriage to a fellow called Ramaraya. Ramaraya. He's called Aliya Ramaraya. In Kannada, Aliya means son-in-law. So he's called Aliya Ramaraya or son-in-law Ramaraya. So he was a son-in-law of Krishnadevaraya, who had married his daughter Tirumalamba. So Krishnadevaraya died. Achyutaraya became king, and this Aliya Ramaraya forced Achyutaraya to take him into administration. Please take me into administration, into the government. So Achyutaraya took him into the Vijayanagar administration. Achyutaraya was succeeded by another king called Sadashivaraya. In fact, Sadashivaraya was the nephew of Achyutaraya, and he had been put on the throne by Ramaraya. So when Sadashivaraya was the Vijayanagar king, the real power was this man, Ramaraya. So real power was in the hands of Ramaraya and his two brothers, Tirumala and Venkatadri. So Ramaraya had two brothers, Tirumala and Venkatadri. Okay. Now what happened? So on your screen, you see here, these are the three brothers, Aliya Ramaraya, Tirumala and Venkatadri. Now, this Ramaraya, by the time Sadashivaraya became king, was a young man of 90 plus. Ramaraya was a 90-year-old man, 90 plus year old man, old man. And this fellow, Ramaraya, has been held responsible for the destruction of Vijayanagara. Now, you know what he would do? He will play one Bahmani kingdom against another. On your screen, if you see here, these are the 5 Bahmani sultans: Bijapur, Golconda, Bidar, Birar, Ahmednagar. So Ramaraya will play one Bahmani sultan against another. For example, he will support Bijapur and get Golconda defeated. Then he'll ally with Birar and get Ahmednagar defeated. So he was playing one Bahmani sultan against another, and he kept them busy fighting against each other. What was his plan? This old man, Ramaraya's plan. He wanted Vijayanagara to be the most powerful in that area. Okay, so he wanted Vijayanagara to be the most powerful kingdom in that area, and his throne, his position behind the throne, intact. He was the power behind the throne. Sadashiva Raya was the king, no doubt, but the power was in the hands of Ramaraya. Now, this Ahmednagar Sultan had two beautiful daughters. One daughter was given in marriage to the Bijapur Sultan. The other daughter was given in marriage to the Golconda Sultan. Now, from friends, they became relations, and everything was discussed within the family, because they were relations. So everything was discussed openly, and they came to know that this old man is responsible for their fighting till now, internal fighting. So what they did is, out of the 5 sultanates, 4 joined together: Bijapur, Golconda, Bidar, Ahmednagar. Birar was not invited. So 4 Bahmani sultans joined together: Bijapur, Golconda, Bidar, Ahmednagar. They combined their armies. So you please understand, Vijayanagara during the time of Krishnadevaraya had an army strength of 7 lakh. That was the strength of Vijayanagara army, 7 lakhs. Now, we can presume that each of these Bahmani sultanates had more or less equal strength of army, about 5 lakhs. Let us say 5 lakhs. Even you take 4 lakhs, Bijapur had 4, let us say, Golconda had 4, Bidar had 4, and Ahmednagar 4. So 4 fours are 16. 16 lakh versus 7 lakh. So they combined their armies and they attacked Vijayanagara. This is the famous battle of Talikota, or it is called the Battle of Rakkasagi Tangadagi. There are 2 villages, Rakkasagi Tangadagi. So it was the battlefield was between two villages called Rakkasagi and Tangadagi. Talikota was merely a staging point where all the Bahmani armies congregated and then they attacked. This is in 1565, April, if I'm right, sometime in January. I think January, January 1565. We have the famous Battle of Talikota. In this battle, are you there with me, all of you, till now? Are you there with me till now? In this battle, please raise your hand so that I can, continue the story. I'm giving you the gist of it. So here in this battle, we have Vijayanagara having to fight against four Bahmani sultans. Till now, Vijayanagara had never faced four armies together. Okay, under Krishnadevaraya, they were always victorious. They were always victorious against the Bahmani sultans whenever there was a one-to-one fight. But here, four armies against Vijayanagara. So here, what happened in the Talikota battle? Ramaraya was caught and beheaded. So his head was cut off. The old man was responsible for this fight till now. So his head was cut off. Vijayanagara was losing. Vijayanagara was losing the battle. So Sadashivaraya, the king, came running from the battlefield along with the two brothers of Ramaraya, Tirumala and Venkatadri. So look here on your screen, Tirumala and Venkatadri, the two brothers of Ramaraya, along with Sadashivaraya, came running to Hampe. Hampe was the capital, present-day Bellary district of Karnataka, Hampi. So what did they do after coming to the capital, running away from the battlefield? They collected whatever treasure they could from the treasury, gold, diamond, etc. Whatever they could gather, they gathered all those wealth, and along with their families, they put them on fast-running horses, wagons, chariots, and from there they ran away to Penukonda. So there's a place called Penukonda, present-day Andhra Pradesh, district of Anantapur in Andhra Pradesh. So they came running to this place called Penukonda. So they come away to Penukonda, and there Sadashivaraya ruled for some time. After Sadashivaraya died, we have Tirumala, among the two brothers of Ramaraya. Tirumala snatched the throne and established the Aravidu dynasty, which ruled from Penukonda, and later Chandragiri and Vellore has its capital. Penukonda, Chandragiri, and Vellore in Tamil Nadu. Chandragiri near Tirupati, present-day Andhra Pradesh. So they had three capitals, Aravidu kings, Penukonda initially, then Chandragiri, and then Vellore. Right? This is the Aravidu dynasty, which ruled after the Talikota War. The peak of Vijayanagara was only till 1565. Why do we say this? Because in the Talikota War, Vijayanagara was defeated. Understand this, Vijayanagara was defeated. They were severely outnumbered, as you can understand. Approximately 10 to 16 lakhs 10 to 15 lakh soldiers against the army of Vijayanagara, which was only about 7 lakhs. Now, the sultans, after defeating Vijayanagara in the battlefield, entered the city of Hampe and they told their soldiers, they gave an order to their soldiers, except elephants, whatever you touch is yours. Whatever you touch is yours. If they touch a horse, it is theirs. If they touch some gold, it is theirs. If they touch a girl or a woman, she is hers. She is theirs. So here they gave a license to their soldiers and officers. Whatever you touch is yours, except elephants. So with crowbar, pickaxes, sickles, hammers, the Bahmani army entered Hampe and raised the city of victory to its ground. In Kannada, it is called Halu Hampe as of now. Halu Hampe. Now, this is what Robert Sewell writes. Understand this. This is a British. He says that the Bahmani armies entered Vijayanagara and they engaged in whole-scale destruction of Vijayanagara. Loot, plunder, rapine went on for about 5 months, and they raised the city of victory to its ground. Right? So the peak of Vijayanagara was only till 1565. But latest research shows a different story. So I have to tell you this because this is according to latest research. So till now, we used to believe that it was the Bahmani sultans and their soldiers who were responsible for the destruction of Vijayanagara. Now, very surprisingly, according to archaeological evidence, what we come to know is that here in Vijayanagara, all the Vaishnava temples, Vishnu temples are destroyed, whereas the Shiva temples are intact. So what does it show? Why should the Muslims make a differentiation between Vaishnavas and Shaivites. Why should they leave the Shaivite temples untouched or not destroyed? So here we have Vishnu temples being destroyed, whereas the Shiva temples are intact. So, for example, the Virupaksha temple at Hampe is intact, right? The Ugra Narasimha Swami temple, the statue is intact. The stone chariot is intact, right? The Veera Narayana temple, okay? The Vijaya Vithala temple is intact. The Hazara Rama temple is intact. So, many temples are there which are intact. So, this destruction, this was Robert Sewell's presentation to us Indians, to believe that it was the Muslims who were responsible for the destruction of Hampe. But archaeology has a different story to tell. And if you go to Hampe, you will see all these monuments. Of course, they did engage in loot and plunder. Like any army, they would have engaged in loot and plunder, no doubt about it. But then, why should they leave certain temples untouched? Why should they only destroy Vishnu temples? That is a point to ponder. So you think about it yourself seriously, and then you'll understand. This is about Vijayanagara. Did you understand? Hello, all of you? Clear? Can I start the topic? Right. So the British, we should be angry with the British because they played one against other, for their own selfish interest. Okay. So this is Vijayanagara for you on your screen. 1336 to 1648, you can see the royal emblem, boar. They were Varaha or boar incarnation of Vishnu. They were Vishnu worshippers, like the Guptas were Vishnu worshippers. Varaha was also the boar, the emblem of the Gupta kings. Vijayanagar kings were also Vishnu worshippers. But of course, they were tolerant towards other religions, including Shaivism, including Islam, etc. We'll talk about it. So this is the gist of the story. I have given you more than an introduction. I have given you the gist of the story of Vijayanagara. So we'll come back here. Robert Sewell, he is that person on your screen to the right of your screen who wrote a book called Forgotten Empire. And this is basically an English translation of Portuguese travelogues, Domingo Pass's book and Fernão Nunes's travelogues. So he converted that, translated that into English. So Vijayanagar and Bahamani sultans fought over three areas. One is the Krishna Tungabhadra basin. Other is the Krishna Godavari Delta, and of course the Konkan coast. Hampi was their capital, modern Bellary district, right? And these are the three areas over which they fought. Tungabhadra Doab, that is a Raichur Doab between the Krishna and the Tungabhadra, the Krishna Godavari Delta, and the Marathwada or the Konkan coast, right? So this is Hampi. I put this is a train, map. I did not get a better one, so I put this here so that you have an idea where Hampi is. So Bangalore comes here, Karnataka's capital, and Hampi is about 300 kilometers away in Bellary, 350 kilometers away. So we'll come back here. So this is the Bahamani Vijayanagar kingdom. This is in green. Green is Vijayanagara. This is Vijayanagara for you. And these are the Bahamani sultans, Bidar, Gulbarga, Bijapur, Ahmednagar, etc. So it was a war state. Its resources were directed towards war. So it rapidly expanded under its kings, Vijayanagara, and they depended upon two things on foreigners. They depended on cavalry, horses. They were dependent on fine breed Arabian horses on the Portuguese, and also muskets, that is guns and gunpowder. So they depended on the Portuguese for these two things. The peak of Vijayanagara was only till 1565, as you can see. We have the famous Battle of Talikota or Rakkasagi, Tangadagi, in which Vijayanagara was defeated, and you have the sultans engaging in destruction of Vijayanagara, the Halu Hampe as it is called, right? So it lingered on, the kingdom lingered on from Penukonda, and later Chandragiri and Vellore has its capitals. So Hampe was the original capital. Later, under the Arabidu kings, Penukonda, Chandragiri, Vellore became their capitals. Okay, so we have this British officer called Colonel Colin Mackenzie. So of the East India Company, he spotted this hidden treasure of Hampi and prepared the first survey map of the ruins. So he was the one who did the survey maps in 1800 as such. So we have the Telugu origin theory and the Kannada origin theory as regards the origin of Vijayanagara. So let us talk about Telugu origin theory. I have told you when I did Muhammad bin Tughlaq, but I'll again repeat as I told you that I will. So then let us talk about the Telugu origin theory. So what is the Telugu origin theory tell us about Vijayanagara? Of course, historians say this is nonsense. It cannot be believed. It looks like a fantastic story, but it is not true, not historically true. That's what they say. But anyway, let us know the Telugu origin theory of Vijayanagara. So let us say this is a map. So we have Muhammad bin Tughlaq ruling from Delhi. So this is Delhi for you. And here we have a place called Sagar near Gulbarga. So an area called Sagar in present day state of Karnataka, Gulbarga. So there was an area called Sagar here. And here we have the cousin of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Bahauddin Gurshasp ruling. Bahauddin Gurshasp. So he was the cousin of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He was the governor of this place called Sagar. This Jauna has Prince Muhammad bin Tughlaq has Jauna Khan had conquered Kakatiya kingdom in 1322-23. Kakatiyas were no more there because though they had been conquered, there were two brothers in the Kakatiya kingdom, Harihara and Bukka. Harihara and Bukka. So they were serving under the Kakatiya king, I believe. Once Kakatiya kingdom was conquered by Muhammad bin Tughlaq, we have these two brothers coming away to a place called Kampili. So there was a kingdom called Kampili, a small kingdom called Kampili, ruled by a king, by a Raja. So they came to Kampili and sought employment under the Kampili king. So thereupon the Kampili king appointed these two brothers as the governors of Anegondi. So there's a place called Anegondi in Karnataka again. So they appointed them, he appointed them as the governors of this place called Anegondi. Right? Now what happened? Bahauddin Gurshasp, the cousin of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, rebelled against him. Muhammad bin Tughlaq attacked Bahauddin Gurshasp, defeated him. So he ran away to Kampili. So Bahauddin Gurshasp comes to Kampili and he sought shelter under the Kampili king, asked for help, asylum. The Kampili king gave protection to Bahauddin Gurshasp. This angered Muhammad bin Tughlaq, right? And Muhammad bin Tughlaq attacked Kampili. The king of Kampili was killed. These two brothers, Harihara and Bukka, also had come to Kampili to help their king against Muhammad bin Tughlaq. They were taken captive. The Kampili king was killed. Cousin Bahauddin Gurshasp also was killed. And both these brothers, Harihara and Bukka, were taken to Delhi as prisoners of war. They were forcibly converted to Islam and they were sent to the south to control rebellion. But while they were in the south, they came under the influence of the pontiff of the Shankaracharya Mutt. So you have a place called Sringeri in Karnataka. And there is a mutt here, which was established by Adi Shankaracharya. So the head of the mutt was a person called Vidyaranya. So these two brothers were reconverted to Hindu fold by Vidyaranya. And he inspired them to found a kingdom in the south, which will give protection to the people of the south from the invading armies of the north. This is the Telugu origin theory. This is given also by Isami's Futuwa Salatin. Isami, the person who said that Balban poisoned his son-in-law, the Sultan, also tells us this story. So historians don't agree to this story either way. Are you there with me? This is the Telugu origin theory. Are you there with me? This is the Telugu origin theory. I have repeated this story two times. Earlier once during Muhammad bin Tughlaq's time when I did it. And this is the second time I have repeated it. Any doubts, I can repeat it third time also. But then you go back and read this, whatever information I've given you, it is very clearly mentioned there. So Isami's Futuwa Salatin gives us this story. And historians either way don't believe it because it seems to be a concocted story, a very fantastic story, which seems true, but it is not historically substantiated. Then we have the Kannada origin theory. Kannada origin theory tells us, which seems more authentic. Most of the historians agree to this story. They say that Vijayanagara was founded by two brothers, Harihara and Bukka. They were serving under the Hoysala kingdom. They were serving in the Hoysala kingdom. And that is the time when they established this kingdom called Vijayanagara. This theory is most acceptable theory as regards the origin of Vijayanagara. Are you there with me? Now, you see, we are told by we are told that there's a very interesting story regarding the spot where the capital city Hampi was built. Hampi, that was the capital of Vijayanagara, as you know. This spot was chosen by Vidyaranya, I believe. What is this story? What is this story? I believe he saw a hare. Hare is a rabbit with a bigger rabbit with larger ears. That's a hare. So he saw a hare being chased by a wolf. So the hare was running for its life, and the wolf was chasing the hare to catch it and eat it. But at one spot, the hare turned around. The hare was daring enough to turn around, and it was able to take on the much more powerful adversary, the wolf, and it was able to repel the attack of the wolf. Looking at this, which is very strange in nature. In nature, the wolf will easily catch and eat the hare, but here the hare was able to, uh, you know, beat back the attack of its adversary. So, looking at this, Vidyaranya felt that it is the importance of that place, that sthala, sthala is the place. It is the importance of that place which gave so much of valor to the hare that it was able to, turn back and repel the attack of its much more powerful adversary. So he did, he asked these two brothers, Harihara and Bukka, to lay the foundation of their city, new city, at that spot. So initially, it was called Vidya Nagara after Vidyaranya. So it was initially called Vidya Nagara. Okay, then it was called also as Virupaksha Nagara. Virupaksha was the family god of the Vijayanagar kings. He's a form of Shiva. Virupaksha Nagara, Vijaya Virupaksha Nagara, Virupaksha Nagara, and later it came to be called Vijayanagara, the city of victory. So Vidyanagara, Vijaya Virupakshanagara, and then finally Vijayanagara. It is on the banks of the Krishna River. It is on the banks of the Krishna River, a tributary of. It is on the banks of the Tungabhadra. I'm sorry. It's on the banks of the Tungabhadra, a tributary of the Krishna, a tributary of the Krishna River. Right. So this is about Vijayanagara. The background. Two theories I've told you: Telugu origin theory, Kannada origin theory. So let us look at the various sources for the study of Vijayanagara. Literary sources, indigenous works, foreign writers, travelers, inscriptions, coins, temples, etc. Now, interestingly, UPSC asked a question. Just hold on. I'll go to the question directly and I'll come back to the chapter. You see here in the mains, they asked one question. Look at that on your screen. Krishnadevaraya, the king of Vijayanagara, was not only an accomplished scholar himself, okay, but also a great patron of learning and literature. Discuss 2016 question. This is 150 words, 10 marks. So this is from a topic called literature, Indian literature in art and culture. But from Vijayanagara chapter, they have asked something about Krishnadevaraya. He has a scholar. They have not asked about his wars. They have asked about he has a scholar himself and his contribution towards promotion of art and literature, learning and literature. So you have to answer that question. Then, of course, one more is there. I have put for your practice. Vijayanagara Empire represents a distinct and influential period in Indian architectural history. So, Vijayanagara architecture we will do as part of art and culture topic, the Pravida style, as it is called. We'll talk about it in detail. So, we'll come back here. Are you clear till here, all of you? Are you clear till here? So, let us look at the various sources for the study of Vijayanagara. We have a lot of sources. Of course, I have put a chart here, you can see here. We have literary sources, and among literary sources, we have both indigenous works and foreign travelers, local writers as well as foreign travelers who came to Vijayanagara, in its heydays, and they wrote about Vijayanagara. So we get a lot of information from these foreign travelers. Inscriptions are there, both copper plate inscriptions and stone inscriptions of Vijayanagara kings. Coins they issued, gold coins, silver coins, copper coins. Various coins also give us information about Vijayanagara. And we have many surviving temples at Hampe, in Lepakshi, in Andhra Pradesh, Kanchipuram also, you have a few temples there built with the Vijayanagar kings. So, so many temples built with the Vijayanagar kings also give information about Vijayanagara. So let us look at the literary sources. Among them, indigenous sources, indigenous works. So you see, they have asked about literature, a topic called literature. In mains, they have asked. So I have filled up the PPTs with a lot of information. So and supplement this with your own reading. When you read your textbook, you will get more information, I'm sure. But this should be enough. Here, please understand, it's only 250 words. The mains answer is only 250 words. You don't need to write more than 250 words. You don't have the time also if you have to finish the paper. So you accordingly make points. You accordingly make points so that you can write a 200 to 250 word answer, right? That should be more than sufficient. So don't make 10 page notes for one topic, because you don't need to know so much. Just enough for you to write 250 word answers. So indigenous works, they're all in Kannada language. So these books, Sayana wrote these books on your screen. Yagna Tantra Sudhanidhi. As again I tell you, reiterate, divide those words into 2 or 3 parts. Because they are in South Indian language, Kannada. So North Indian students might find it difficult, or many of the non-Kannadiga students might find it difficult. So we divide it into 3 or 4 parts. Yagna Tantra Sudhanidhi, Yagna Tantra Sudhanidhi, Prayaschitta Sudhanidhi, Prayaschitta Sudhanidhi, right? Purushartha Sudhanidhi, Ayurveda Sudhanidhi, Vedartha Prakasha. This is written by Sayana. Vidyaranya, Parasara Madhaviya, Shankara Vijaya, Rajakala Nirnaya, right? Then Rajanatha Dindima, Achutaraya Abhyudhayam, Ganga Devi, Madhura Vijayam, or Veera Kampanaraya Charitam, Tirumalamba, Varadambika Parinayam. So the best method is to make cue cards. I told you 4 into 6 centimeter cue cards you make like this, 6 centimeters by 4 centimeters. You copy this in small fonts, small letters, small size, and then you keep revising them, keep looking at them whenever you're free, so it becomes easy to remember. And moreover, the answer is on the question paper, right? So therefore you just have to identify which is the right answer. So you don't need to mug up. If you revise a few times, then it becomes easy. Somewhere it will strike in your mind, and then you'll be able to mark the right answer. So be very careful about that. So don't complicate things. Revise, please revise. That is the mantra. Revise, right? First revision within 24 days, second revision within 3 days, and third revision within a month. Because you're learning new things every day from so many subjects. You might forget what you have learned the previous day. And we forget 40% of what we have studied within 24 hours, according to research. So therefore, revise. Revision should be part of your timetable when you make a timetable. Right. Then we have other books. Ratnakara Varni writes Bharatesha Vaibhava. Chamarasa, Prabhulinga Leele. Kumara Vyasa, also called Gadugina Naranappa. So he was the one who wrote the Kannada Mahabharata. It was incomplete, and under orders of Krishnadevaraya, Timmanna completed it. So Timmanna was told by Krishnadevaraya, please complete the Mahabharata. Because Kumara Vyasa was not able to complete the Mahabharata. Right? It was completed by Timmanna under the orders of Krishnadevaraya. So with due respect to Krishnadevaraya, we use the word KD Raya everywhere. This is just to save time. But please don't write KD Raya. Write fully in case there's a question asked Krishnadevaraya. Right? Then of course Lakshmi Shah writes Jaimini Bharata. Then Kanakadasa, he writes Mohana Tarangini, Nalacharita, Harik Bhaktisara, Ramadhanya Charite. So Kanakadasa was a saint who was contemporary to the Vijayanagar period. He lived around the Vijayanagar times. To the time of Krishnadevaraya, he was living, Kanakadasa. And there's a very nice story regarding Kanakadasa and the Udupi Sri Krishna temple. In Karnataka, there's a temple called Udupi Sri Krishna temple, famous temple in Udupi, Karnataka. And there's a story surrounding Kanakadasa. So maybe if time permits, I'll tell you the story later. We'll come back here. So these are the local books written in Kannada language about Vijayanagara. We get a lot of information from these writers in their books, right? Every book should be remembered. I told you, Yasin, they might ask you, match the following. They might ask you a small note on promotion of literature in Vijayanagar times. So you have to mention names of few books. Not everything is important, but then it's difficult to put it that way. At least main books, some of the main things you remember, like Kannada Mahabharata completed by Timmanna, such things you remember. Then let us look at the foreign travelers who came to Vijayanagara. So Ibn Battuta, you remember Ibn Battuta was a foreign traveler from Africa who came to the court of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and Muhammad bin Tughlaq put him, appointed him as Qazi of Delhi, and later got him arrested and put him in jail for 10 years, and later released him from the prison and asked him to go to China as his ambassador. So Ibn Battuta said, definitely I'll go, sir. I don't want to be in the jail. So that is the time when Ibn Battuta came to South India. He visited Vijayanagara because he wanted to catch a ship to go to China via Indonesia. So he went to China via Indonesia, Malaysia, and then to China. So from Delhi, he comes to South India. He visits Vijayanagara during that period. And who was the king? Harihara the First. Did you understand? Morocco, yeah. So he was from Tangiers in Morocco. So Ibn Battuta, writes a book, Rehla or Kitabul Rehla, and he was the first foreigner to visit Vijayanagara. So first foreigner to visit Vijayanagara is Ibn Battuta. He came to the time of Harihara the First. So remember that king during whose period the traveler came, and then what is the information he gives. Then the second traveler, Niccolo di Conte. Niccolo di Conte, he was from Italy. He writes a book called Travels of Niccolo Conte. He came during the time of Devaraya the First, the Sangama king, Devaraya the First. So what does he tell about Vijayanagara? He says, as you can see on your screen, Vijayanagara city had a circumference of 90 kilometers, he says, and it was guarded by 90,000 soldiers. King had 12,000 wives. My God. King had 12,000 wives. I wonder how he remembered their names. He must have given them numbers. And of them, 2,000 to 3,000 performed sati if the king died. So sati was performed by 2,000 to 3,000 kings if the king died. Then Diwali and Navaratri festivals were celebrated with pomp and splendor by the people, he says. The Diwali and Navaratri, Dashera, or Dasara as it is called here in the south, in Karnataka. So Diwali and Navaratri festivals were celebrated by Vijayanagar kings. The Vodayars were the feudatories of the Vijayanagar kings, and once in the Telikota battle, Vijayanagara was defeated. Vodayars proclaimed themselves independent, and they continue the tradition of Vijayanagara of celebrating Navaratri festival or Dasara festival, which is a 10-day festival in Karnataka. And even the government of Karnataka continues this tradition. So this tradition of celebrating Navaratri or Dasara is from the Vijayanagara times, right? It's a state festival of Karnataka. Niccolo di Conte, he came to the time of Devaraya the First. Then Abdur Razak. So he came to the court of the Zamorin of Calicut as the envoy of Shahrukh of Samarkand, the king of Samarkand, Shahrukh. So he came to South India, and that's the time when he visits Vijayanagara, to the time of Devaraya II, Abdur Razak. So he writes a book, Malta Sadain wa Majma ul Bahrain. Remember the last word, Majma ul Bahrain. This is written by Abdur Razak. So what does he talk about? Again, he talks about Vijayanagara. He says it was such a beautiful city that the eye had not seen. The eyes had not seen such a beautiful city, nor had the ears heard of such a city. He says city has seven fortified walls, one within the other, and there were seven bazaars, and merchants sell diamonds, rubies, gold, satin, silk, etc., like tomatoes and onions, he says. So rubies, diamonds, emeralds, pearls were sold on the streets as groceries. Taxes collected from the prostitutes went on to pay the salaries of policemen. You see, prostitution was a recognized institution in Vijayanagara. So the Devadasis, and the taxes collected from them went on to pay the salaries of the policemen of Vijayanagara. So this is interesting information given by Abdur Razak, right? Then he says polyandry was prevalent in the Malabar region. What is polyandry? What's polyandry? Roshan says 12,000 seems a lie. So Roshan, it could be possible because you see, Akbar had 5,000 women in the harem. Okay, so and here they had 12,000 wives. So the king could marry anybody, if he is interested in that girl. So he will bring her into the harem if he wants to. So the Hindu kings also kept harems, Muslim kings also kept harems. So it could be possible. We don't know. We cannot say it was a lie. Yeah, women having more than one husband. Please understand this. Abdul Razak says polyandry was prevalent in the Malabar region. So you have to understand this part here very carefully. So where is Malabar here? This is Kerala, right? This is Kerala. Now, who were the ones who came to Kerala? Arabs. Arabs came to do what? To trade. The Arabs came to trade, right? And they wanted to come to India to pick up spices. Now, the Arab merchant will come. He will stay in the Malabar coast for a few weeks or a few months. So he has got a lot of money with him because he is a merchant or a trader. So what he will do is, they used to do is, these Arab merchants used to do is, they will give money to a poor family and they will tell that family that they would like to marry their daughter. So they have never seen such huge amount of money. And here this merchant is telling that he wants to marry their daughter. So the poor family will give that girl in marriage to this Arab. That Arab will get her pregnant and then he has to go back to do his business, isn't it? So he will promise the family and the girl that he will come back and he'll go away and he might never come back. And another Arab will come, right? He'll do the same thing to that girl or to the other girls. So here we have Abdul Razak says that polyandry was prevalent in the Malabar region. Polyandry was not practiced by the locals. It was actually practiced by the Arab merchants who used to come to the Kerala coast, to the west coast to trade and pick up spices particularly, right? So that's what it is. Then, of course, trade was organized in guilds, he says. All this information is given by Abdur Razak. And people like roses. They say that they cannot live without roses. So that's what he says. Then Nikitin, Athanasius Nikitin from Russia, he was a horse merchant. He talks about the economic disparities between rich and the poor, the extreme economic disparities. So he came to the time of Virupaksha II. Further, we have Duarte Eduardo Barbosa. Duarte Eduardo Barbosa, he was from Portugal. He came during the time of Krishnadevaraya. So remember, I have put it in order as you can see. These are the three people who came during the time of Krishnadevaraya. Duarte Eduardo Barbosa, and Domingo Paes from Portugal, and Ludovico de Warthema. Warthema was from Italy. So two from Portugal, one from Italy. They came during the time of Krishnadevaraya. So Duarte Barbosa talks about social evils in Vijayanagara: sati, polygamy, Devadasi system, taboo on widow remarriages. So if somebody became a widow, she was discouraged from remarrying again, particularly the upper caste. Then when the king dies, he says 400 to 500 women burn themselves with him. So that is the information given by Duarte Eduardo Barbosa from Portugal. Then Domingo Paz, he also came to the time of Krishnadevaraya. He describes the physical personality of Krishnadevaraya. So he tells us that the king Krishnadevaraya was of a dark. He was not very fair. Neither was he too dark. He was on the wheatish complexion, little bit more than wheatish towards the darker side. He had pockmarks on his face. He was not very tall. He was of medium build, and he was a man of justice. And he would suddenly get angry in the court. Domingo Pes did not understand the language. Probably that's why he felt he suddenly gets angry. And then he tells us that every morning Krishnadevaraya used to get up, and then you have gingerly oil. Gingerly oil was smeared on his body. So the masseur will give him a massage with gingerly oil. And then the king would exercise for hours together. He will wrestle, he will exercise, then he'll go on his horse riding, etc. And then his body was dripping with sweat. And he comes back and then he takes a nice shower, he takes a bath, and then he has his breakfast. And then he attends the court. So all these details are told by Domingo Paz. And he says the king had 12 wives who lived in luxury but were denied freedom. Then Fernão Nunes, he came to the time of Achyuta. So Robert Sewell picked up the travelogues of Domingo Paz and Fernão Nunes, and he wrote a book, The Forgotten Empire. So Fernão Nunes also gives us a lot of information. He talks about the food habits of the people, Lingayats and Telagas. Lingayats are that community established by Basaveshwara of the 12th century reformer from Karnataka, social-religious reformer. So they are the Lingayats or the Veerashaivas as they are called. And the Telagas are the oil pressers who press the oil and remove oil from seeds. So they are the Telagas. So he says that Lingayats and Telagas observed sati by burying the widows along with the deceased husband. So when the husband died, he was buried in the ground, and his wife, who was still alive, was also buried along with him. So it would have been a very ghastly death. That's what he says for now, Nunes. Women were experts in wrestling, astrology, accounting, soothsaying, he says, and he wrote the history of the kingdom from its foundation till the rule of Achyuta Devaraya. So this is about Farnao Nunes. So, right? So, Abdur Razak, I have put a note on Abdur Razak, what he tells about Vijayanagara kingdom's wealth, etc. So these are the travelogues of Vijayanagara kings. Then we have the inscriptions. So we have a number of inscriptions issued in copper plate as well as stone. They are in Kannada language, Telugu language, Tamil language. So these inscriptions also give us a lot of information about Vijayanagara kings. Right? Then further we have, these are the important inscriptions. I have given you a chart here on your screen. Bagepalli copper plate inscription of Harihara the First talks about the origin of Vijayanagara Empire. Bagepalli copper plate. Bagepalli is a town from where you enter Andhra from Karnataka. So Bagepalli. So that is on the Bangalore-Hyderabad highway, if you're not familiar with that. So it's the name of a place, Bagepalli copper plate inscription of Harihara the First, origin of Vijayanagara Empire. Bitragrunta Grant of Sangama the Second talks about the genealogy of the Sangamas. What is genealogy? The family tree, founder, first king, second king, third king, etc. The Chandrayapatna inscription of book Harihara the Second. Don't remember the information they give. You just remember the inscription and which king issued that inscription. The Bagepalli inscription issued by Harihara the First, Bitragunta Grant by Sangama the Second, like that. Chandrayapatna inscription of Harihara the Second, so on and so forth. Srirangam copper plate of Devaraya the Second, Devallapalli copper plates of Narasimha the Second, Sorakkavur plates of Virupaksha, like that. Shravanabala Belagola inscription of Bukka the First. Then Kandiyan Tandal inscription of Veera Narasimha, Hampi inscription of Krishnadevaraya, Amaravati inscription of Krishnadevaraya. So these are all the information given in the third column. So inscriptions also give us information about Vijayanagara. Then we have a number of coins issued by Vijayanagara kings, gold coin, silver and copper coins. So gold coin was called Varaha. As you can see on your screen, Varaha. It was 52.7 grains, also called Gadyana Pon Pagoda, called by different names, Varaha, Gadyana, Pon, Pagoda. The most frequent symbol on their coins was Varaha, the boar incarnation of Vishnu. Then we have other gods also mentioned, Vishnu, Shiva, Lakshmi, bull, elephant, lion, etc. And of course, we have the Ganda Berunda. You can see this. The Ganda Berunda symbol is also shown on their coins. What is this Ganda Berunda? You can see this picture on your screen. This is I'm sorry. This is a double-headed eagle. You can see here, double-headed eagle. It's an imaginary bird, obviously, a double-headed eagle. And this double-headed eagle is holding an elephant in each of its claws and beak. In its beak, you can see this elephant here. Elephant. It is holding an elephant in each of its claws and beak. Right? This is called Ganda Berunda. This was a symbol of the Vijayanagara kings. Later, this symbol was adopted by the Vadayar kings, and then the government of Karnataka has adopted this symbol as its emblem with slight variations. The elephants are missing. The Ganda Berunda is there. So elephants are missing in the Karnataka government symbol. So, right. So this is the Ganda Berunda symbol. Remember that. So here you see Varaha. Varaha was the main gold coin with slight copper content. Partha was half a Varaha, half gold coin. Partha. Fanam was 1/10 of a Partha. So these are all gold coins. Varaha, Partha, Fanam. Then we have silver coins called Tar or Tara. That was a silver coin. Jital was the copper coin. So, of course, we have temples built by the Vijayanagara kings at many places. Hampe, we have Virupaksha temple at Hampi, the Hazara Rama temple, Vijaya Vittala temple. We also have temples of Vijayanagara kings at these places. Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu, Madurai, Tirupati, Tadipatri, Lepakshi. So they are found in Tamil Nadu and Andhra. Vijayanagara kings ruled over major parts of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, not Kerala. Okay, so this is about the sources for the study of Vijayanagara. We'll talk about the political history in some time, just after a break. So what are the reasons for the growth of Vijayanagara? Of course, we have the Chola Empire. Chola Empire had collapsed, right? And you have independent bases of power outside the Chola Mandalam, which were established. You have also importance given to agriculture and trade by the Vijayanagar kings in the territories of Karnataka. So agriculture was flourishing, trade was flourishing. Chola kingdom had disappeared, so therefore there was no more attack of the Cholas on the small princes or the Nayakas. The Nayakas were the most important officers under the Vijayanagar kings. They were like military governors. Like for example, you remember Ikta system under Iltutmish. So he established the Ikta system, paid his officers land grants called Iktas, and they were assigned certain duties, law and order, collection of land revenue, acting as a judge. So these are the Nayakas. Nayakas were also military governors under Vijayanagara. They were given lands. So the Vijayanagar king, the Delhi Sultan, like Iltutmish gave Ikta. Okay, in Vijayanagara, Nayakas were given Amaram. Amaram means land grant, equal to Ikta, right? So these Nayakas who were given Amarams, that is lands, as salary, came to be called Amaranayaka for that reason. Amaranayaka. Like Mansabdas were given Jagirs, therefore he was also called a Jagirdar for that reason. So therefore, similarly, Amara Nayakas. So they had to maintain law and order in their area, collect law and order in their area, collect land revenue, and also act as a judge. And when the king went to war, they will also assist the king in his wars. So, and of course, Vijayanagara expanded at the cost of Hoysala and Kadamba kingdoms. Kadamba dynasty was the earliest dynasty of Karnataka, the local dynasty. So they were overthrown by the Vijayanagar kings, including the Hoysalas. So these are all the reasons for the growth of Vijayanagara. Are you there with me? Why he kept him in jail? Who? Harshita? I didn't understand. Ibn Battuta was jailed by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq himself did not know why he was putting him in jail. So how would we know? Yeah, we know what type of a person he was. Okay, he was called a mad king by many people. So we will talk. We'll talk about it after a break. We'll come back at 8 o'clock. Is it fine? Yeah, I'll come back. Shreyas, just hold on. We'll come back after a break. 10 minutes break is enough for you. It's about 7:40. What's the time now? 7:47. So 7:47, 7:57. Can we meet at 8 o'clock? Exactly 8 o'clock. So 8 a.m. we'll meet and continue this story and hope to finish this chapter. That way I'll finish medieval India. I can start with art and culture from Monday onwards. Right? If I can finish today, then I'll start today only, art and culture, but I don't think I will. But let us see. Okay, because some more dynasties are there to be discussed. So we'll meet at 8 o'clock sharp. So come back at 8 o'clock. Good morning. Can I continue? Yeah, Harshita, Amrita, Karthik. Can we continue, all of you? All are back? So we have discussed about Vijayanagara. I've told you, I've given you the gist of the story, isn't it? The four dynasties of Vijayanagara, two theories, the Telugu origin theory, the Kannada origin theory, then various sources for the study of Vijayanagara. We have discussed that. And then I gave you the gist of the story. Four dynasties, Sangama, Saluva, Tuluva, Aravidu. Greatest of the Vijayanagara kings belonged to the Tuluva dynasty. His name was Krishnadevaraya, a contemporary of Babur. And what happened after the death of Krishnadevaraya? How the Talikota battle took place, who was responsible for the destruction of Vijayanagara, supposedly Ramaraya, the son-in-law of Krishnadevaraya. And I also told you how the Bahmani kingdom had split up into five states, five splinter states, right? So I have told you the gist of the story. Now we'll do the factual aspects of it. We can go quickly that way. Yeah. So these are the four dynasties: Sangama dynasty, Saluva dynasty, Tuluva dynasty, and of course Arabidu dynasty. So nothing. Tuluva means Tulu. No, 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 no. Tuluva is the name of the dynasty. Nothing to do with the Tulu people who speak Tulu language. No. So we'll come back here. Sangama, Saluva, Tuluva, Arabidu. Sangama kings ruled from 1336 to 1485. Harihara and Bukka were the founders. Then Saluva Narasimha established the Saluva dynasty after overthrowing the last Sangama king. That is called first usurpation. This is called the first usurpation. We'll talk about it. First usurpation. Then we have Veera Narasimha, who killed the last Saluva king, Immadi Narasimha, or Narasimha the two, and established the Tuluva dynasty. This is called second usurpation. Right? And of course, after the Talikota battle, I told you Vijayanagara was defeated in the Talikota battle, and Sadashivaraya, along with the two brothers of Ramaraya, Tirumala and Venkatadri, ran away to Penukonda, where Sadashivaraya ruled for a few years. Once he died, Tirumala snatched the throne and established the Aravidu dynasty, which ruled from Penukonda, and later Chandragiri and Vellore had its capitals. But the peak of Vijayanagara was only till 1565. The zenith of Vijayanagara was only till 1565, but the kingdom lingered on till about 1646, even 1680 as such, as some books say, the Aravidu dynasty. So these are the important Harihara, Sangama kings on your screen. Harihara the first, Bukka the first, Devaraya the first, Devaraya the second. So these are the important kings: Harihara the first, Bukka the first, Harihara the second. Sorry, Devaraya the first and Devaraya the second. And then, of course, the last Sangama king was Pradhadevaraya, who was killed by his feudatory Saluva Narasimha, who established the Saluva dynasty. So Sangamas were followed by the Saluvas. We'll talk about it. Harihara the first. So he was the eldest of the two brothers, elder of the two brothers, Hakka, Bukka, Harihara and Bukka. So Harihara was the eldest brother. So he became the king. So here, title Mahamandaleshwara. So here we have the Vijayanagara kings conquering the Hoysala kingdom and the Kadambar territories. We have seen this, isn't it? Malik Kafur came, defeated Veera Ballala III, the Hoysala king, and after that, the Vijayanagara, the Hoysala kingdom had lost its vitality, the strength and prosperity, because all the wealth was looted away by Malik Kafur. So Hoysala kingdom had become weak. So Vijayanagara kings captured Hoysala territory, including the Kadamba territories. Then, according to Fernão Nunes, he says he built the city of Vijayanagara at the instance of Vidyaranya. So initially it was called Vidyanagara, later Vijaya Virupakshanagara. And it was his brother Bukka who renamed the kingdom as Vijayanagara. Ibn Battuta visited Vijayanagara during his period, and he transferred his capital from Anegondi to Vijayanagara. I told you, remember, Harihara and Bukka were appointed as governors of Anegondi by the Kampili king. Later, they also had gone to Kampili to assist the king against Muhammad bin Tughlaq, but they had been taken captive. So from Anegondi, the capital was shifted to Vijayanagara, then called Vidyanagara. So this is the first king, and of course he reorganized the administration. So you can see here, so he He grouped 4 or 5 hamlets into a village. So lowest category was the hamlet. Okay, so a group of 4 or 5 hamlets became a village. So village consisted of a group of 4 or 5 hamlets. So he grouped 4 or 5 hamlets into a village. Then 20 to 30 villages were grouped into sthala. So sthala was nothing but 20 to 30 villages under a Brahmana who was called Karanam or Sthala Karanam. Okay, and then of course a group of sthalas formed a Nadu under a Nadu Gauda. Nadu Gauda, who maintained law and order in that area. Okay, so Nadu Gauda or Nadu Talayar, as they are called. So this is how it was. This is how he organized the administration. We have the beginning of conflict with the Bahamanis during the period of Harihara itself, when Alauddin Bahaman Shah, you can see here on your screen, he defeated Harihara the first and captured some territories to him. So beginning of geopolitical conflict over the Tungabhadra Doab. So both these kingdoms wanted the Tungabhadra Doab, fertile belt of land. So Harihara was defeated by Alauddin Bahaman Shah. Then we have Bukka, the second ruler of the Sangama dynasty, Bukka, who called the kingdom as Vijayanagara. So he renamed it as Vijayanagara. So you have the Vaishnavas and the Jains fighting against each other, claiming their own religion as superior. So he restored harmony between the Vaishnavas and the Jains. He captured Mudkal in the Tungabhadra region. So this is the battle in which artillery was used for the first time on the soil of India. Gunpowder was used on the soil of India. So here he captured Mudkal in the Tungabhadra Doab, and that resulted in the king of the Bahamanis, Muhammad Shah Bahamani. So Muhammad Shah Bahamani crossed the Tungabhadra, defeated Bukka, but could not capture Bukka or his capital. This is the battle in which artillery was used for the first time on the soil of India, 1367. On the soil of North India, Babur used gunpowder in the first battle of Panipat. So I have mentioned it here. First time artillery used in this battle in India, Battle of Mudkal, 1367. Then we have this sultanate called Madurai Sultanate. Now, please understand, Madurai in Tamil Nadu. So there was a Muslim king rule there, Sayyid Hasan Shah of Mabar. So just as Vijayanagara and Bahamani were founded by the respective founders to the time of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Madurai Sultanate had been founded by Sayyid Hasan Shah of Mabar. Now, Madurai Sultanate was conquered by the son of Bukka, Kumara Kampana II. Kumara Kampana, he was the governor of Mulbagal, and he conquered the Madurai Sultanate. And we have these details given in a poem written by his wife, Kumara Kampana's wife, by name Ganga Devi. She writes a poem called Madura Vijayam or Veera Kampananaya Charita. So the conquest of Madurai Sultanate by the son of Bukka, Kumara Kampana II, is contained in a poem written by Kampana's wife, Ganga Devi. It's called Madura Vijayam or Veera Kampananaya Charitam. He sent emissaries to China. We have evidence of Bukka sending an ambassador to China. It is mentioned in the annals of the Ming dynasty. So then, of course, we have these scholars patronized by him, Sayana and Madhava. They began to write commentaries on the Vedas. And as a result, we have Bukka assuming the titles Veda Marga Pratishtapaka, Vaidika Marga Pravartaka, Veda Marga Pratishtapaka. So these are the titles taken by Bukka the first as such. Telugu poet Nachana Soma lived in his court. So whatever information I have put here in the PPTs for all the chapters is from various sources. My own study when I was a student of UPSC and from other books which I've studied, right? So I have put as many information as possible. When you read your textbook and you find something new which is not there in the PPT, you add it to your notes. That should be your complete preparation. The foundation is already there here. More than the foundation is there in the PPTs. You just add by reading one book, maximum one book, if not two for some chapters if you want clarity, and that should be enough, right? Yasin, gunpowder, how they know about gunpowder? Gunpowder was invented by the Chinese. So the Chinese were great inventors. They were the ones who invented, developed silk. Their unique method of making silk. Then gunpowder was invented by them. Marinus compass was invented by them. Water clock was invented by the Chinese. So, the Chinese were, much more advanced. Marco Polo, who visited China during the time of Kublai Khan, 13th century, he had come to India also, this Marco Polo, Venetian traveler from Italy, Venice in Rome, Venice in Italy. So he tells that he stayed in the court of Kublai Khan for 10 years, this Marco Polo. And Marco Polo tells us that China, so he went back after 10 years to Europe, and he writes a book, Travels of Marco Polo. In that he says that China has a much more advanced civilization than the Europeans. And this resulted in many Europeans wanting to come to China and check out for themselves whether whatever Marco Polo had written was true. Okay, right? Paper also was invented by the Chinese. You're right, Sham. Paper was very much invented by the Chinese. These titles are important to remember. See, not necessarily. Yasin, titles are not. These are not titles. These are all the books. Title of where. Yeah, you can. They might ask you in the prelims, or they might not ask you. It all depends. We never know. But then I have everything is not important. Some things are important. So Veda Marga Pratishtapaka, Vaidika Marga Pravartaka. I don't think so. They might ask, but then for state service it may be relevant. Telugu, Andhra Pradesh state service, or Karnataka state service, okay, or Telangana state service. A little bit more details are there in the chapter, because many information, a lot of information I have taken from the local Kannada books, because local history is given in a much more detailed manner in the local books. Okay, so that's why I have added that here. Plus, you try to remember. Yeah, Dipesh. It was used by either of them. They procured gunpowder from the Portuguese, the Vijayanagar kings, and of course, you have the Arabs. The Arabs were the ones who traded extensively with the world, and they were the ones who carried gunpowder. So the Bahmani Sultan would have used gunpowder. Vijayanagar king also might have used gunpowder. He might have procured it from the Arabs. So in that battle, gunpowder was used. The books doesn't tell you that. Deepesh, book doesn't tell you who used the gunpowder, whether it was Bukka or the Bahmani Sultan. It doesn't tell. In that battle, it was used. So presumably, it was used by both. Right? Then, of course, we come to Harihara II, who took first. He was the first to assume imperial titles, Maharaja Adi Raja, Raja Parameshwara. So you see here under Harihara the first, what happened is we have Vijayanagara expanding rapidly towards the eastern seacoast. So this is Vijayanagara. Imagine this Vijayanagara. It was expanding rapidly towards the eastern seacoast. To stop Vijayanagara from expanding rapidly towards the eastern seacoast, we have an alliance formed by the Bahmani Sultan with Warangal. So we have an alliance of the Bahmani Sultan with Warangal. So Bahmanis and Warangal came together. Bahmani and Warangal came together. This was to stop Vijayanagara from expanding rapidly towards the eastern seacoast, right? Then what happened? We have Devaraya the first, next king, Devaraya. He was defeated by Firuz Shah Bahmani. Firuz Shah Bahmani defeated Devaraya. Devaraya had to give his daughter in marriage to him. And also Bankapur, a place called Bankapur in the Doab has dowry. But this did not stop the conflict, though the Sultan had married his daughter. Now what happened is, we have Devaraya telling the Reddy chieftains, that let us, telling Warangal that let us partition the Reddy kingdom amongst ourselves. So Warangal defected from the side of Bahmanis and joined Vijayanagara. You can see here on your screen. Earlier, Bahmanis and Warangal had come together to stop Vijayanagara from expanding towards the eastern seacoast. Under Devaraya the first, we have Warangal defecting from the side of Bahmanis and joining Vijayanagara. And this was to divide the Reddy kingdom amongst themselves. So that resulted in Devaraya defeating his son-in-law, that is the Bahmani Sultan Firuz Shah Bahmani, and he conquered all the territory up to the mouth of the river Krishna. The greatest achievement of Devaraya is the construction of an aqueduct. What is an aqueduct? It is you have the metro, with pillars. You have a metro going on top. Like that, you have pillars, and then you have a canal going on top. Okay. So canal obviously is connected to a reservoir. So from the dam, water is released, and then through those canals, which are standing on pillars, the water is supplied to the city. So 24-kilometer canal aqueduct was constructed by Devaraya the First. It's a Roman design. You see on your screen, this is an aqueduct on your screen. So this is an aqueduct which was 24 kilometers in length, built by Devaraya the First. Right? Devaraya the First. I don't know that, Udayarani. The Krishna River was named after whom? After Devaraya? I don't know. I don't think so. It must be after the god Krishna. I'm not very sure. So I don't know that question. Right? Then, of course, we have Niccolo Conti. Niccolo Conti, Italian traveler visiting Vijayanagara during the time of Devaraya the First, talks about Navaratri, Deepavali festivals, etc. Then we have Devaraya the Second, greatest of the Sangama kings. Devaraya the Second is called Immadi Devaraya. Immadi means in Kannada two, Dvitiya. Hindi mein Dvitiya bolte hai, isn't it? So in Kannada it is called Immadi. So either you write Devaraya the Second or you write Immadi Devaraya. So it doesn't mean, it means Devaraya the Second or Dvitiya Devaraya. So just remember Devaraya the Second, that's enough. Greatest of the Sangamas, he was called Prouda Devaraya, right? Prudha. Now what happened is, we have a conflict between Devaraya the Second and the Bahmani Sultan, Ahmad Shah Bahmani. So Ahmad Shah Bahmani versus Devaraya the Second. We don't know the result of the battle. But what we do know is the Bahmani Sultan shifted the capital from Gulbarga to Bidar in 1424. From that, historians believe that Devaraya II might have defeated Ahmad Shah Bahmani, because there's no reason why he should shift the capital far away from Vijayanagara, unless he must have been defeated. So that is a presumption, right? So he shifted the capital to Bidar in 1424. So henceforth, Bidar becomes the capital of the Bahmani Sultanate. Now, we have Vijayanagara also losing many battles against Bahamanis, and Devaraya II felt that it was because of the weakness of the archery department. So Vijayanagara archers were not good enough when compared to the Muslim archers in the Bahamani armies. So what he did is, he recruited 10,000 Muslim archers and to give training in archery to the Vijayanagara soldiers. So these 10,000 Muslim archers were recruited by Devaraya II. He built a mosque for them. He kept a copy of the Holy Quran next to the throne, so that the Muslim archers might find it difficult to bow down before a Hindu king, but definitely they will bow down before the Holy Quran, and they'll be loyal to the Holy Quran and by default the Vijayanagar king. So therefore, he kept a copy of the Holy Quran next to his throne, and also he built a mosque there in Vijayanagara, right? So this is about Devaraya II. Of course, we have a title called Gajabentekara on his coins. He's gone given the title Gajabentekara. Gaja is elephant. Gaja in Sanskrit it is elephant. Even in Kannada it is Gaja. Bete is hunting. So Gajabentekara, the elephant hunter. That's what he's called. We have the Telugu poet Srinatha, who defeated the poet laureate Dimdima. So the court poet of Devaraya II was Dindima, and that Dindima was defeated by Telugu poet Srinatha, who was given the title of Kavi Sarvabhauma, the king among the Kavis, Kavi Sarvabhauma. That was the title given by him. Abdur Razak visited his kingdom. Abdur Razak visited the court of Devaraya II. So remember these things, right? Then Mallikarjuna, he was a young boy. That's the time when the Gajapatis of Orissa. So in Orissa, we have the Gajapati dynasty, founded by Kapilendra Gajapati. So somebody asked in the break whether there was any Orissa king as strong as Krishnadevaraya. I would say no. But then you have, because from the type of achievement Krishnadevaraya had, the type of wars he fought, and he defeated all the kings of South India, including the Gajapati kings. So therefore, nobody was as strong as Krishnadevaraya. He is one of the greatest kings of South Indian history, Krishnadevaraya. But we can say Kapilendra Gajapati was a strong Orissa king, right? Then, of course, the king Narsimha the First, who built the Konark temple, the Sun temple at Konark, he was also a strong king. So Mallikarjuna was still a young boy. Therefore, the Gajapatis of Orissa and the Bahamanis took advantage, and they conquered a number of territories from Vijayanagara. The last Sangama king was Proudadevaraya. He was killed by his feudatory Saluva Narasimha, who established a Saluva dynasty. So the Salva Narasimha was the governor of Chandragiri. Chandragiri is a place near Tirupati in Andhra. We have the famous Balaji temple there, Venkateshwara temple there in near Tirupati. So he was the ruler of the place called Chandragiri. So he killed Devaraya and snatched the throne. That was the end of the Sangama dynasty and the coming of the Saluvas to power. Salva Narasimha. This is called first usurpation. So we'll come back here. Salva dynasty. Salva Narasimha was the king. So he, he was a founder of Chandragiri, and he killed Devaraya and usurped the throne. That is called first usurpation. Are you clear? First usurpation. Yeah, I will take that. I'm surprised, Dipesh. I was told it has been uploaded. It has been uploaded. That's what I was told. Others are also having the same problem. Dipesh says the PPTs of medieval India are not yet uploaded. Even lecture 1 is not uploaded. Harika says yes, yes. Dipesh says no. It is there. Tanya, it says it is there. Dipesh says he double checked it right now. So some are saying yes, some are saying no. Okay, I will convey the matter. Shreya says it is there, but not in order. Steven says it is not in order. Okay, fine. I will take care of that. I'll tell them. Right? I will tell them and I'll follow it up. Okay, now we'll come back here. Did you understand first usurpation? First usurpation is when the Salva Narasimha killed the last Sangama king Devaraya and snatched the throne. That is called first usurpation. But very interestingly, Salva Narasimha was defeated by the king of Orissa, Gajapati king of Orissa, Purushottama Gajapati. He defeated him and he imprisoned him on the condition, he said he will release him from prison provided Udayagiri fort is handed over to the Orissa king. So Udayagiri fort in the Nellore district of present-day Andhra. So Nellore district of present-day Andhra had to be given by Vijayanagara king to the Gajapati king for him to get himself released from prison. So Udayagiri became part of the Orissa king's territory. Salva Narasimha is the person who patronized a number of scholars, poets. You can see on your screen, I have put a chart for you. So who are the various scholars patronized by Salva Narasimha? Pillalamari Pinaveerabhadra. These are all Telugu poets. So therefore, people who are not familiar with these words, South Indian words, might find it difficult. But then I told you, make a sandhi बना दीजिए, 2-3 भाग में divide कीजिए, and सब ठीक हो जाएगा. Pillalamari Pinaveerabhadra. So he wrote these books, Jaimini Bharata, Shringara Shakuntala. So this is one book and this is second book. Okay. He proudly quoted what is a poem called Vani Na Rani. Then we have this great saint who was a worshipper of Balaji Venkateshwara of Tirupati. His name was Annamaiya or Annamacharya. So there was a movie which came many years back, about 20 years back, called Annamaiya, where the Telugu superstar Nagarjuna has acted as Annamacharya or Annamaiya. A very famous movie. If you ask your parents, some of you who are from South India, they might tell you. So who is Queen Rani? So Vani, I have no idea, Shreyas. This is a poem. Vani Na Rani. Right. So then we come to Annamacharya. So he was a worshipper of Balaji Venkateshwara. He composed kirtanas. Kirtanas are poems, okay, in praise of Lord Venkateshwara. He's supposed to have composed 32,000 kirtanas in Telugu language. But many of them have been lost. Only 8,000 remain. They are known as Andhra Veda. So title of Annamacharya, Sankirtanacharya, Padakavita Pitamaha. So these are the various titles. Then Talapaka Timmakka, she was the wife of Annamacharya who wrote Subhadra Kalyanam. Right? She is the first Telugu poetess in Telugu language. She is the first poetess in Telugu language. Talapaka Timmakka, the spouse of Talapaka Annamacharya. Then Molla, she writes Telugu Ramayana. Ramayana in Telugu. Right? So remember these things. All these scholars were patronized by Salva Narasimha. Are you there with me? Can I move on? Now look here on your screen. Follow this, please. All of you. Now look here. Salva Narasimha is the person who had killed Praudadevaraya and had usurped the throne. So this way, the Sangama dynasty had come to an end, and Salva Narasimha was the founder of the Salva dynasty, isn't it? Now, this Salva Narasimha had two sons. Look here on your screen. Who are the two sons of Salva Narasimha? Timma, and Immadi Narasimha. That is Narasimha the two. So he had two sons, Timma and Immadi Narasimha, or Narasimha the two. Now, Salva Narasimha, unfortunately, was on his deathbed. He was on his deathbed. His children were still small, Timma and Narasimha the two. So therefore, he had a trusted minister. His name was um, Salva Timma. So just hold on. Narasanayaka, I'm sorry. His name was Narasanayaka. So what he did is, he called Narasanayaka, and told Narasanayaka, I'm going to die, therefore you should take care of the kingdom and also place my sons on the throne. Once you rule on their behalf. You please rule on their behalf, and once they are adults, you hand over the throne to them fully with all the powers. So Narasanayaka, a trusted minister, agreed. Salva Narasimha died. When Salva Narasimha died, this Narasanayaka placed Timma, the elder son, on the throne, later got him killed. And then he placed Narasimha II on the throne, but snatched away all the powers from Narasimha II, shifted Narasimha II to far away Penukonda, and began to rule. Narasanayaka began to rule. All the power was in the hands of Narasanayaka. I will clear till here. Okay, so here I repeat, Salva Narasimha had killed Praudadevaraya and usurped the throne. That's called first usurpation. And he had brought the Salva dynasty to power. He had two sons, Timma and Narasimha the two. Salva Narasimha was on his deathbed. So he called his minister Narasanayaka, told him to take care of the administration and then act as the regent of his eldest son. And once Timma becomes adult, then he will handle everything on his own. So Narasanayaka had agreed. After the death of Salva Narasimha, Timma was placed temporarily on the throne. Then Narasanayaka got him assassinated. Okay, and then placed Narasimha the two on the throne, the younger brother, but shifted him far away from Hampe to Penukonda and assumed all powers in his hands. Narasanayaka, right? So this is called regency of Narasanayaka. And when Narasimha the two was the Vijayanagar king, so he was the de jure king. Narasimha the two was a de jure king, but he had no powers. All the power was in the hands of Narasanayaka, who was the de facto ruler. So when Narasimha the two was the Vijayanagar king, in 1498, Vasco da Gama came to India. This was a UPSC prelims question. During whose period Vasco da Gama, who was the Vijayanagar king, when Vasco da Gama came to India? This was the king. This was the question asked in a different manner. That's not the exact wording. We'll deal with the questions at the end of this chapter. So 1498, we have Vasco da Gama coming to India during the time of Narasimha II. I have clear till here. Now look here. This Narasanayaka, look here, Narasanayaka had four sons. Veera Narasimha, Krishnadevaraya, Achyutaraya, and Rangaraya. So he had four sons, Veera Narasimha, Krishnadevaraya, Achyutaraya, and Rangaraya. After Narasanayaka died, this Veera Narasimha, the eldest son of Narasanayaka, acted as the regent to Narasimha II. He acted as a regent to Narasimha II, later got him assassinated, and he founded the Tuluva dynasty. This is called second usurpation. Are you there with me? This is called second usurpation. Can you raise your hands? Are you clear? Okay, this is called second usurpation. Now, this Veera Narasimha ruled for a few years and then he died. Okay, Veera Narasimha ruled for a few years and he died. As soon as he died, he had a minister called Saluva Timma. He was a very influential minister, Saluva Timma. Saluva Timma, after the death of Veera Narasimha, got the stepbrothers of Veera Narasimha imprisoned. That is Achyutaraya, Rangaraya. These two fellows were imprisoned and he appointed Krishnadevaraya as the king. So Krishnadevaraya ascends the throne. That's how he comes to power. So I repeat, after the death of Veera Narasimha, his minister Salavatimma got Achyutaraya Rangaraya arrested and also the minor son of Veera Narasimha. Veera Narasimha had a minor son. He was also arrested and put in jail. And Salavatimma anointed or appointed Krishnadevaraya as the king. And Krishnadevaraya comes to power in the year 1509 and he ruled till 1529. He is considered to be the greatest of the Vijayanagar kings. So remember, first usurpation, second usurpation. UPSC has asked these questions in the prelims. That is a depth of knowledge you should have. So I'm going in a steady manner, in a sequential manner. So, okay, so you remember that. And when you look at the questions, you'll be able to easily relate to those questions. So please understand this. Are you there with me? So politics and crimes are related with each other. So, Shakespeare in his Hamlet says, uneasy lies the head which wears the crown. Uneasy lies the head which wears the crown. That is, if you are a king, you don't have an easy life. You are always uneasy because you're afraid who's going to pull your chair and snatch away the power and even kill you for the throne. So uneasy lies the head which wears the crown. It has great, power has power is very attractive to everybody, but then it also comes with responsibilities and also risks. Risks are also there. His name was Narasanayaka. Narasanayaka was a minister under Salva Narasimha. Salva Narasimha was on his deathbed. So he appointed Narasanayaka as the regent to take care of his children and kingdom. Okay. Yeah, power comes with responsibility. That is true. We'll come back here. So I'll directly go to Krishnadevaraya here on your screen. Tuluva dynasty. So Veera Narasimha, once he died, we have Krishnadevaraya coming to power. So let us talk about Krishnadevaraya, the greatest of the Vijayanagar kings. So on your screen, Veera Narasimha, after assassinating Immadi Narasimha or Narasimha the II, also known as Narasimha the II, came to power. So don't get confused between Immadi Narasimha and Narasimha the II. Both are the same. Immadi, I told you, is two, Dvitiya or second in Kannada language. So, Krishnadevaraya, 1509 to 1521. This is a map. This is a picture of Krishnadevaraya, a map released by the government, 5 rupee stamp, on which we have a photo of Krishnadevaraya. So, I liked it, I put it there. So, it probably looked like that. We have a statue also of bronze in Tirupati temple. Inside the Balaji temple at Tirumala, Tirupati, on the top of the hill, we have the statue of Krishnadevaraya with his two spouses, two queens, Chinnamma Devi and Tirumala Devi. So after conquering Udayagiri, he goes there and he makes generous donations to the temple. And on important festivals like Kalyanotsav, etc., you have huge amount of jewels which have been presented by Krishnadevaraya, also put on the idol of Lord Venkateshwara. So you can see here the type of cap he is wearing, very unique. Look at the cap there. So this is Krishnadevaraya and with his two queens. So we'll come back here. Krishnadevaraya, so he was a great warrior. You please understand, he was a great warrior. He personally led his army and he brought great victories. Many times impossible victories were converted, impossible, a definite defeat was converted into a victory by Krishnadevaraya with his great generalship. So here he had defeated the major kings of South India, Bijapur, Golconda, Bidar, and then of course the Gajapatis of Orissa. So all were defeated, and he has been given a lot of titles by his poets. Supposedly the Ashtadigajas, 8 eminent scholars were in his court, right? 8 eminent scholars called Ashtadigajas were in his court, but history doesn't support that. But generally it is believed, like Navaratnas were in the court of Chandragupta II Vikramaditya. We saw this, including Kalidasa. But then Kalidasa, according to folklore, was in the court of the Paramana king Bhoja. But according to history, he was in the court of the Gupta king Chandragupta II. Similarly, Krishnadevaraya's court was adorned by the Ashtadigajas. That's what it is told. But then history doesn't support that. But generally, it is believed that all those 8 poets were in his court. We'll talk about it. He's called Andhra Bhoja because of Andhra Bhoja is the king of the Andhras because of the encouragement he gave to literature, Telugu literature, therefore called Andhra Bhoja. Then Andhra Pitamaha is also called Andhra Pitamaha because the classical phase of Telugu literature begins from him. We have a poet called Pedanna. So Pedanna, the eminent scholar under Krishnadevaraya, calls him Kannada Rama Ramana, the ruler of the Kannada speaking areas also. So Kannada Rama Ramana he calls him. So he is called Tri Samudra Dishwara, the Lord of the Three Oceans, because he had defeated all the kings of South India. So he's called Tri Samudra Dishwara. Yavanarajya Sthapanacharya, so the restorer of the foreign kingdom, he's called that. Then Gajapati Saptanga Harana, the king who took away all the 7 limbs of the Gajapati. So I will talk about it. So he was a great warrior, and of course, patron of art, culture, literature, etc. And he also built a number of temples. So Krishnadevaraya, so he comes to power after the death of his elder brother Veera Narasimha. Sarvat Kimma, the minister, put him on the throne after imprisoning the minor son of Veera Narasimha, including Krishnadevaraya's 2 stepbrothers, Achyutaraya and Rangaraya. So he is the greatest of the Vijayanagar kings. And just before he came to power, just before Krishnadevaraya came to power, the Bahamani kingdom has split up into 5 states. It had split up into 5 states: Bijapur, Golconda, Ahmednagar, Bidar, Birar. So it had split up into 5 states. A little before Krishnadevaraya had come to power. So he had to fight against these Bahamani sultanates, particularly Bijapur. So he fought frequently with Bijapur and he always scored victories. So let us look at the military achievements of Krishnadevaraya. So when he came to power, we have the king of Bidar, Mehmud Shah Bahamani, attacking the Vijayanagar kingdom. So Krishnadevaraya was able to repulse the attack. He was able to beat back the attack. That is known as the Battle of Doni or Divani. This is number 1. Number 2, the Battle of Kovilkonda. In this battle, he defeated and killed Yusuf Adil Shah of Bijapur. So Yusuf Adil Shah of Bijapur was killed by him. He conquered the Raichur though, and later he conquered Gulbarga also. Then we see something happening in Bidar. So Bidar had been the capital. You remember Ahmad Shah Wali had shifted the capital from Gulbarga to Bidar. So Bidar was the capital. The king was Mehmud Shah Bahamani of Bidar. He had a minister, this Mehmud Shah Bahamani. His name was Amir Barid. So this Amir Barid took away all the powers from the Sultan and put the Sultan Mehmud Shah Bahamani inside prison. Okay, so I repeat, Amir Barid, the minister, imprisoned the Sultan Mehmud Shah Bahamani, the same fellow who had attacked Vijayanagara earlier. So Krishnadevaraya takes his army, wages war against Amir Barid, defeats him, and goes to the prison, orders the release of the emperor, and puts the emperor back on the throne of Bidar. For this particular deed of his, he has been given a title, Yavanarajya Pratishtapanacharya. That is Yavanarajya Pratishtapanacharya. That is the restorer of the foreign kingdom. If you don't remember these words, in case there is an essay writing or a subjective question about Krishnadevaraya, don't worry. At least you mention the English equivalent. He released the Bidar king he released the Bidar king from prison and put him back on the Bidar throne, for which he was given the title restorer of the foreign kingdom. Enough. You don't need to remember the Sanskrit words. So Yamana Rajya Sthapanacharya, that is the restorer of the foreign kingdom. So that is another achievement of his. Then of course, there was a rebellion of Gangaraya, the Palegar of Ummattur. So Palegars were military commanders, Palegar or Nayakas. They're also called Nayakas, Palegars or Nayakas, something like the Iqtadar under the Delhi Sultans. So Palegars or Nayakas. So we have the Palegar of Ummattur by name Gangaraya. So he rebelled against Krishnadevaraya. So Krishnadevaraya defeated this Gangaraya, then conquered all those areas of Gangaraya, and including the headquarters of Gangaraya, Shivana Samudram. So we have, you have 2 rivers which there's a waterfall at this place called Shivana Samudram, where electricity was generated for the first time in India, right? Electricity was generated for the first time in India at Shivana Samudra, where electricity was supplied to the Kolar gold fields. So This is called Shivana Samudram, where two rivers, the Kaveri comes and falls here in two streams, right? So here, that was the headquarters of this Gangaraya. So he conquers that area, and those conquered areas were made into a province, with Srirangapatna as capital. So he makes Srirangapatna as a capital, right? Then we have the Kalinga expedition, which we divide into 5 parts. Kalinga expedition, where Krishnadevaraya attacks and conquers Kalinga after defeating the king Prataparudra Gajapati of Orissa. So we divide it into 5 stages. In the first stage, you remember when Mallikarjuna, so you can see here one of the last Sangama kings, Mallikarjuna. You can see here Mallikarjuna. He was a young boy. You remember this on your screen. So the Gajapatis and the Bahamanis had taken away a huge amount of territory from Vijayanagara. So Krishnadevaraya was determined to reconquer all those areas from the Gajapatis as well as the Bahamanis. So we divide this campaign against the Gajapatis into 5 stages. In the first stage, he conquered Udayagiri Fort. Udayagiri Fort in the Nellore district of Andhra. So Salivana Narasimha had been forced to give away Udayagiri for his release to the Gajapati king. Gajapati king had defeated Salivana Narasimha and put him in prison, isn't it? So he told him he will release him provided Udayagiri fort is handed over to him. So Krishnadevaraya reconquers Udayagiri fort. And then he goes to the temple of Tirupati, Tirumala, makes generous donations to the temple along with his 2 queens. So that is there in the picture here. You can see here, right? This is the first stage. Then he conquered Kondavidu from the Reddy chieftains. Second stage, he conquers Kondavidu from the Reddy chieftains and all those areas up to the mouth of the river Krishna. The second stage. Third stage, he conquers Kondapalli from the Gajapatis, so an area called Kondapalli. He also conquered Vijayawada fort, those days called Bezwada fort. Then the whole of Telangana, and including the Krishna Godavari region, was conquered by him. And then he set up a pillar of victory at Potnur Simhadri, a place called Potnur Simhadri. And then in the 5th stage, he attacks Cuttack, the capital of Orissa. Prataparudra Gajapati was the king. He sued for peace. He said he wants peace. And he offered his daughter in marriage to Krishnadevaraya. Her name was Annapurna Devi, also known as Mohanagi. So Krishnadevaraya was indeed very happy when he married Annapurna Devi. And whatever he had conquered north of the river Krishna was given away back to his father-in-law, that is the Gajapati king. So for this particular achievement of his poets have given him a title, Gajapati Saptanga Harana. Gajapati Saptanga Harana. That is, what is Harana? Kidnapping. Gajapati is the Gajapati king. That is the dynasty which ruled Orissa. Saptanga refers to the 7 limbs of a state, as mentioned by Kautilya in his Artha Shastra. I have given this in the below the PPT. You can see here in the last few lines. Kautilya, 7 organs of state. He says that the king cannot alone run the administration. He requires help from various people, ministers, from the queen, from the fort, treasury, etc. So the king who took away all the 7 limbs of the Gajapati, it translates to that. Gajapati Saptanga Harana. So that's the title bestowed upon him. Then, of course, you have Tamil poet Kumara Saraswati. He wrote a poem dealing with the marriage of Krishnadevaraya with Gajapati princess. Then you see when Krishnadevaraya was busy in his Orissa campaign, we have the king of Bijapur, Ismail Adil Shah. Yusuf Adil Shah was his father, who had been killed by Krishnadevaraya. So the son of Yusuf Adil Shah was Ismail Adil Shah. That man, Ismail Adil Shah, reconquered the Raichur Doab, taking advantage of the absence of Krishnadevaraya, who was away fighting against the Orissa king. After defeating the Orissa king, Krishnadevaraya comes back and attacks Bijapur. He defeats Ismail Adil Shah and he plunders the town. Right? So, and also he conquered the Doab, the Raichur Doab, between the Krishna and the Tungabhadra rivers. Right? Krishnadevaraya died in 1529. He dies in 1529. Are you clear, Krishnadevaraya? So, factual information, go through it a few times, then you'll understand. Make small notes, then you'll understand. Are you clear? Right. Then we come to how to make small notes. I told you, just write in small fonts in a piece of paper and revise. Get the sequence right. Don't worry about the years. Just get the sequence right Write the important points, and that should be sufficient. Nayaka also means a commander, Satyam. So it doesn't mean that he was really a Nayaka. Nayaka is a community. Nayaka is a community in Karnataka. It also was a designation. It was also an official designation. So Narsa Nayaka, he was called Narsa Nayaka. Okay, now look here. On your screen, you see a map. On your screen, you see a map. This is the Straits of Hormuz. The Straits of Hormuz. Now, in the year 1510, understand this, in the year 1510, we have the greatest of the Portuguese governors, Alfonso the Albuquerque. Alfonso the Albuquerque. He sent an ambassador to the court of Krishnadevaraya. The Portuguese were wanting to have a friendly treaty with Krishnadevaraya. Now, when the Portuguese ambassador came to his court, Krishnadevaraya was not very sure about the intentions of the Portuguese. These are foreigners. Who has sent them? Whether it is appropriate to have a treaty with them. So he was in a state of confusion. So therefore, he politely refused. He said he will think about it. Then what happened is in 1510, so 1509, this embassy was sent. In 1510, the Portuguese conquered Goa from Bijapur. Goa was under the control of the Bijapur Adil Shah ruler. So they conquered Goa from Bijapur. And in 1511, Alfonso the Albuquerque sent a second ambassador by name Friar Louis to the court of Krishnadevaraya. And now he was very sure about the intentions of the Portuguese. He came to know that Bijapur Sultan has not sent them. They have come on their own. And so a treaty was signed between Krishnadevaraya and the Portuguese ambassador Friar Louis, who signed this treaty on behalf of Alfonso the Albuquerque. According to this treaty, Portuguese should supply war horses. The Arabian fine breed war horses should be supplied by the Portuguese only to Vijayanagara and not to the Bahamani kingdom. That is Bijapur, not to Bijapur, only to Vijayanagara. So here the Portuguese agreed. So they will procure war horses from Iran, from Arabia, etc. They'll bring the horses on their ships to the Gulf of Hormuz, the Straits of Hormuz, and from Hormuz they will ship it across the sea to a port called Bhatkal, which is in Karnataka. So there's a port called Bhatkal. So this port called Bhatkal was reserved only to receive the war horses from the Portuguese. And from Bhatkal, the war horses would be shifted to Hampe, the capital of Vijayanagara. Every year, 10,000 war horses, Arabian fine breed war horses, were bought by Vijayanagara from the Portuguese, 10,000 war horses. And Krishnadevaraya had told the Portuguese very specifically that he is ready to give them how much ever wealth as possible, how much ever money as possible. The war horses should be only sold to Vijayanagara and not to the Bijapur Sultan. And the Portuguese had agreed. And Friar Louis resided in the court of Krishnadevaraya. Are you clear? Yasin, don't ask me all these questions, whether these horses adapted to our climate. There are Arabian war horses even now. Arabian horses are even now running many races in India. So I think if you're interested in equestrian sport, you should ask somebody who's expert in that. They are treated very gently. People who own war horses are very rich. So whatever the horse requires is given to it, including a climate which will suit its body temperature, etc. So right. So including imported food is given, supplements are given to war horses. So you know all that. So we'll come back here. So Krishnadevaraya is called Abhinava Bhoja for his patronage to literature. He's called Andhra Pitamaha because the classical phase of Telugu literature begins from him. Then he was a great scholar in Sanskrit as well as Telugu. So he wrote a book on polity called Amukta Malyada. Amukta Malyada is in Telugu language. This is a book on polity written by Krishnadevaraya, and he writes Jambavati Parinaya in 5 acts. Jambavati Parinaya in 5 acts. So he was himself a great scholar, apart from a great warrior. Poet Timanna completed the Kannada Mahabharata. So the Mahabharata in Kannada was written by Kumaravyasa, but he could not complete it. He died. Therefore, since it was incomplete, Timanna was ordered to ordered to complete the Kannada Mahabharata. Then Ashtadigajas were in his court, supposedly in his court, though history doesn't support this. But then when you have to write the question, you mention it as that they were in his court because that's what is a popular belief. Alasanni Peddanna. So remember this. UPSC has asked this question in the mains. As you can remember, I showed you the question. So remember these names. Alasanni Peddanna, who wrote Manu Charitam and Harikatha Saransamu. This is in Telugu language. Manu Charitam, also called Swaroshisha Manu Sambhavamu, or and Harikatha Saransamu. Harikatha Saransamu. So this is the first prabandha, I believe, Manucharitam in Telugu literature. It is dedicated to Krishnadevaraya. And for this, Krishnadevaraya bestowed the title Andhra Kavita Pitamaha on Peddanna. This could be a question. Andhra Kavita Pitamaha. Krishnadevaraya is called Andhra Pitamaha. Look here on your screen. Krishnadevaraya is called Andhra Pitamaha. Who is Andhra Kavita Pitamaha? Peddanna. Okay, so remember that. The Nandi Timanna, Parijata Paharanam, Parijata Paharanam. Then Madayagari Mallanna. So we can remember only Mallanna. So Mallanna wrote Rajashekara Charitam, Durjati, Kalahasti Shataka, or Kalahastishvara Mahatyam. We only remember one, Kalahasti Shataka. So Kalahasti is a temple town in near Tirupati, which is famous for snake worship, snake dosha, removing snake doshas. What is called Naga Dosh. So then we have another scholar, Pingali Surana, who wrote Kala Purnodayam, Raghava Pandaviyam, Prabhavati Pradyumna. See, you look here, Rajneesh. The proof is here. Pingali Surana dedicated his works to his patron, Krishnamaraju, a vassal of Vijayanagara at Nandyal. So our former Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao came from Nandyal, a place called Nandyal. That was his hometown. So there was a feudatory called Krishnamaraju. So he dedicates these books, that is, all these books, Kala Purnodayam, Raghava Pandaviyam, Prabhavati Pradyumna, to Krishnamaraju. So that is one proof we have. Then we have, all of you must have heard about this man, Tenali Ramakrishna or Tenali Ramalinga. So we have so many TV serials also made, on Tenali Ramalinga and his, his jokes and how he fooled people, etc. So he is called Vikatakavi. He wrote a few books, Udbhatacharya Charitam, Udbhatacharya Charitam, Panduranga Mahatyam. So Panduranga Mahatyam is considered to be one of the Pancha Mahakavyas in Telugu language. He dedicated this Panduranga Mahatyam to his patron Venkatapati Raya II. He was an Aravidu king. So from that we come to know that Tenali Ramakrishna was not there in the court of Krishnadevaraya. Right? So this is another evidence we have. Did you understand, Rajneesh? So, but then popularly they are said to be in the court of Krishnadevaraya. Then Ramaraja Bhushana, he wrote Vasucharitam. Then he dedicated his book to Tirumala Raya, an Aravidu king. So Aravidu king comes, that's the last dynasty, much later after the death of Krishnadevaraya. So Ayala Raju Ramabhadra, Sakala Niti Sara Sangraha, Ramabhyudaya. So these are the various scholars in Krishnadevaraya's court who wrote all these books. And if you ask me whether you should remember these, then the question is there. UPSC has asked a question, right, in the mains, and all questions are compulsory. So if you have to get your, top services, you should try to answer all the questions. Then you will have your average marks going up, and you will also have a better rank and a better service thereby. Okay, so that's another thing. Then poet Peddanna, you see, Peddanna was the one who called him Kannada Ramaramana, and he gave him a title of Kannada Ramaramana. Peddanna was personally honored by Krishnadevaraya. How did he honor this poet called Peddanna? So the poet Peddanna was placed in a palanquin, and 4 people were holding the palanquin, and one end of the palanquin was carried by Krishnadevaraya. So the emperor was carrying Peddanna on the palanquin. One end of the palanquin was held by him. So that way he gave respect to Pedanna, honored Pedanna that way. So he founded a town called Nagalapur in memory of his mother Nagamba. He built a number of shrines, he repaired a number of shrines, a number of temples, and we have great towers. And the entrance to a temple is called Gopuram. Entrance to a temple. So you see, this is the let us say this is the temple here. This is the main temple here. Okay, this is the main temple here inside, right? There's a temple. Then we have the entrance gateway where there's another Gopura. Gopura is the entrance gateway. And these Gopuras or entrance gateways were built by Krishnadevaraya. They are huge in size. They are called Raya Gopurams. So you can see here, I have put a picture here of a Raya Gopuram, Raya Gopuram. So entrance tower to that temple is called Gopuram. So he built huge temple towers, temple entrances called Raya Gopurams. Including he also constructed the Basava channel, a canal called Basava channel. So he constructed the following temples. One is the Hampavati temple at Hampi. Here the shadow of the temple, Gopuram, falls inverted. So very interesting. Then 1,000-pillared Mantapa, a lotus palace, which is designed like a lotus. It's called Lotus Mahal or Kamal Mahal as it is called. Then he expanded the Hazara Rama temple. So this is called the Chapel Royal. What is the meaning of Chapel Royal? Only meant for the royal family, not for the public. So this was the private temple of the Vijayanagar kings, Hazara Rama temple. Why it's called Hazara Rama? Hazar is, as you know in Hindi, 1,000. So we have 1,000 Ramayana paintings found in this temple. So this is the Lotus Mahal. And this is built in the Sarvato Bhadra style. This is called Sarvato Bhadra style. Sarvato Bhadra style. What is the meaning of that? That is, it has entrances from all the four directions. It can be entered from all the four directions, therefore called Sarvato Bhadra style of temple, of construction. Lotus Mahal or Kamal Mahal as it is called. Then this is the Hazara Rama temple. It was built by Devaraya II. I have mentioned it here. Krishnadevaraya expanded this temple, and we have 1,000 Ramayana paintings inside this temple. Right? Then we have this temple called Vijaya Vithala temple. This again was built by, though this is the Vijaya Vithala temple at Hampe. It was built by Devaraya II. There are 56 pillars here, 56 pillars inside this temple. They are made of stone, obviously this stone temple. And when you gently tap those stone pillars, they make sound. They produce music. And the British, one of the British officers, he broke that one of the pillars to see whether there is something inside. So he did not find anything inside. Even now, those pillars make music when you gently tap. They are made of stone. Very unique. Vijaya Vithala temple. And in the compound, in the complex of the Vijaya Vithala temple, there is a stone chariot. Okay, so this stone chariot was ordered to be constructed by Krishnadevaraya. You remember, Krishnadevaraya conquered Orissa after defeating Prataparudra Gajapati. And of course, the Gajapati king gave his daughter in marriage to Krishnadevaraya. And Krishnadevaraya returned all those territories north of the river Krishna back to the Orissa king. So when he had gone to Orissa, he had visited the Puri, he had visited the Sun Temple at Konark. So in Konark, in Orissa, we have the Sun Temple there. So highly impressed by the Sun Temple at Konark, Krishnadevaraya came back and ordered his sculptors that he wants something like a chariot for the sun god. Okay, he wants a chariot, a stone chariot. So the direct influence and inspiration for this stone chariot is the Konark Sun Temple at Orissa. So we have a similar stone chariot in Mahabalipuram, okay, of the Pallava period. So so here you have the temple cars. There, you have the car seva where you have a procession of the main deity. A replica of the procession is placed in a huge chariot, and people pull the rope, and the god is taken in a procession throughout the town. So this particular stone chariot mimics that. No. So this is in the complex of the Vijaya Vithala temple, right? So he expanded this temple, the Vijaya Vithala temple, And then he added a Kalyana Mandapa to the Virupaksha temple. So this is the Virupaksha temple at Hampi. UPSC had asked a question, where is the Virupaksha temple located? It is in Hampi. This was not built by Krishnadevaraya. Please understand, it was built by a person called Lakkan Dandesha during the period of Devaraya II. I have given the information here. So Krishnadevaraya added a Kalyana Mandapa to this temple. What is Kalyana Mandapa? Kalyana Mandapa is where the god and the goddess are married on ceremonial occasions. So every year on a particular in a particular festival, there is a ceremony performed where the god and the goddess are married, and people witness this divine marriage. That is called Kalyanotsavam, right? So he added a Kalyan, what do you call Kalyana Mandapa to the Virupaksha temple. Then we have the Lakshmi Narasimha statue, a monolithic statue, which was ordered to be constructed by Krishnadevaraya, to be sculpted rather. So this is the Lakshmi Narasimha statue. It's also called Ugra Narasimha statue. So he's sitting, Narasimha is sitting in a cross-legged position on a Sheshanag. So this is Sheshanag, serpent king. So this is serpents here, as you can see. It is 6.7 meters in height, 6.7 meters tall. So these are all the great achievements of Krishnadevaraya. You have the elephant stables in Hampi. Some say these were administrative buildings, but then generally believed to be elephant stables. Right. So what happened after Krishnadevaraya? I told you, Achyutaraya succeeded him to the throne. One of his stepbrothers, he became the king. And during his period, we have the son-in-law of Krishnadevaraya, Ramaraya, who forced him into administration. Please take me into administration. So we have Ramaraya, who joined the administration of the Vijayanagar kings. He was a son-in-law of Krishnadevaraya. After the death of Achyutaraya, we have this Ramaraya seizing power in his hands. He placed the nephew of Achyutaraya, Sadashivaraya, on the throne. So during the time when Sadashivaraya was the Vijayanagar king, happened the Talikota war. So the son-in-law of Krishnadevaraya has been held responsible for this. He is called Aliya Ramaraya. So he will play one Bahamani Sultan against another and make them fight against each other and kept them busy that way. So ultimately, we have an alliance formed. Who formed the alliance? Ibrahim Qutub Shah of Golconda, he created a grand alliance, Ibrahim Qutub Shah. So all these four sultans came together. Hussain Nizam Shah of Ahmednagar, Ali Adil Shah of Bijapur, Ibrahim Qutub Shah of Golconda, and of course Ali Barid of Bidar. Burhan Imad Shah was not invited. So he was not invited. So these four kings combined their armies and attacked Vijayanagara, and then happened the famous Battle of Talikota. But Talikota was merely a staging point where not much action took place. It took place between two villages, Rakkasagi and Tangadagi. So this is the famous Battle of Talikota, January 23rd, 1565. In this battle, Vijayanagara was defeated. These are the plains along the Krishna River, close to these villages of Rakkasagi and Tangadagi, where the Battle of Talikota is supposed to have taken place. In this battle, the king of Ahmednagar, Hussain Nizam Shah, cut off the head of Ramaraya. So he killed him. Sadashivaraya came running back to the capital along with the two brothers of Ramaraya, Tirumala and Venkatadri. So Sadashivaraya went away to Penukonda, where he ruled for some time. Then after his death, Tirumalaya snatched the throne and established the Aravidu dynasty and began to rule from Penukonda. So this was about Vijayanagara. The peak of Vijayanagara was only till 1565. Are you clear? Can I move on? Are you clear? So we have the last dynasty, the Arabidu dynasty. So I have given you a note here on your screen in yellow color background. We have contemporary scholars who have made mention of this battle. So, like for example, Ferishta talks about it. Ferishta and one more, scholar talks about this battle. And of course, we have this famous quotation from Robert Sewell. Robert Sewell's famous quotation. This is the famous quotation, right? It says, never perhaps in the history of the world has such havoc been wrought, and wrought so suddenly on so splendid a city, teeming with wealthy and industrious population, in the full plenitude of prosperity on one day, and on the next, siege, pillage, and ruined, amid scenes of savage horrors begging description. So one day it was flourishing, and on the next day it was reduced to ruins. That is the gist of the statement. That's what Robert Sewell says, beautifully put in his book, The Forgotten Empire. Right? So Arabidu dynasty ruled from Penukonda, which is in Andhra Pradesh, Anantapur district of Andhra Pradesh, and later it ruled from Chandragiri and Vellore. Who was the founder of the Arabidu dynasty? That is Tirumala Raya. Tirumala Raya was the founder. So he divided the kingdom into three parts. Sriranga, his eldest son, ruled the Telugu area with Penukonda as capital. So linguistic division of states. Like India has been divided on linguistic basis. States reorganization you study, linguistic reorganization of states. Like the Tirumala divided his kingdom on linguistic grounds. Sriranga ruled from Penukonda over the Telugu area. Rama, his second son, ruled over the Kannada-speaking areas with Srirangapatna as capital. And Venkatapati ruled over the Tamil areas with Chandragiri as capital. So this is the linguistic basis of reorganization of the Vijayanagar kingdom. The last representative was Sriranga III. Sriranga III was the last representative. He was defeated when combined armies of Bijapur and Golconda attacked him. So he ran away to Shivapanayaka of Keladi. So he took shelter under the Shivapanayaka of Keladi. This was the end of the Vijayanagar dynasty or kingdom, right? So then I have given you other points here. You can go through it. Vijayanagar local self-government, local government. So the country was divided to Kuttam like this. You can put an arrow mark below. Country was subdivided to Kuttam into Nadu into Aimbadi Maligram, and then Agaram. In Karnataka, it was divided like this. Province, subdivided to Vente into Sime into Sthala, and then Valita. That's how it was divided. Right? Then we have the so-called Ayagar system under Vijayanagara. What is this Ayagar system? See, in a village, you require the services of some people. Like, for example, you require a barber, you require a blacksmith, a goldsmith, a carpenter, a person who will release water to the fields from the main canal so that the farmers don't fight over water. So these are all jobs which are necessary even nowadays in a village. During the Vijayanagar period, there were 12 village functionaries. They were called Ayagars. Okay. Like, for example, a blacksmith. Okay. A blacksmith, a carpenter, a barber, etc. So there were 12 village functionaries like this. They were given tax-free lands called manyams. Manyams. Now, how are the people paying them? Let's say I am one of the villagers in during the time of Vijayanagara period, and I belong to the upper caste. Okay, I'm presuming. Okay, let us presume I belong to the upper caste. So what do? I'll call the barber home. I will not go to his shop, which may be under a tree. I will tell him, you come home and cut my hair. So that fellow will come, he'll cut my hair. I will not pay him anything. Okay, the lower caste will go to his shop. Not the lowest of the category. The OBCs. They will go to the barber. They'll get their hair cut, and they will not also not pay him anything. When will these people pay that barber? After the harvest? After their harvest, a lump sum amount of food grains, is given away to that barber. Similarly to the carpenter, similarly to the blacksmith. So throughout the year, that person has to work for free. In one go after the harvest, he'll get a lump sum amount of food grains for his survival. That is called Ayagar system, which existed during the Vijayanagara period. They were called Bara Balutas. These 12 village functionaries are called Bara Balutas in Maharashtra. And you see, Dr. Ambedkar's family was one of the Bara Balutas in serving when you study the history of Dr. Ambedkar. So apart from land tax, which was the main source of income, we have other taxes like property tax, tax on the sale of produce, okay, professional taxes, military contribution, taxes on marriages, etc. Right? Then regarding Vijayanagar trade, two things were supplied by the foreigners. Horses, war horses were supplied by the Portuguese, and also muskets and gunpowder. Muskets and gunpowder, that is whatever rifles they used to use, those are called muskets. and gunpowder. These two were supplied by the Portuguese traders, and they were dependent. The Vijayanagar kings were dependent on the Portuguese for the supply of these two aspects, right? Then we have rise of social consciousness amongst the many communities there, like Vipra Vinodins. Veera Panchalas are the artisan classes. Kaikollas are weavers. Tottiyans and Kambalata. Earlier they were shepherds, later Palegars. Sale of people was known. So you have slavery was there, sale of people was known. Sati existed in the Vijayanagar period. Then prostitution was a recognized institution where the prostitutes had to pay taxes to the government to run their profession, and the salaries of the policemen went from the taxes collected from these prostitutes. So that is another thing. And of course, we have people like Sarvagnya, Kanakadasa, Kapilar, Vemana. They led a crusade against the corruptions like untouchability, caste restrictions. They opposed all these things. So this is about Vijayanagar society. Then I have put some administrative officials. Rayasa Swami was the chief secretary. Rayasa Swami, chief secretary. Sasanacharya, he drafted the oral orders of the king. So when the king gave some orders, that was written down by the Sasanacharya. Okay, then Talayari performed police duties in the village. Athavana was the trade and commerce department related to trade and commerce. So this is about Vijayanagara. Are you there with me? Rajneesh, yeah, today also, okay, very interesting. Rajneesh says, today also we follow the same procedure in my village. It must be there, it must be there existing in many villages even now. Now let us talk about other small kingdoms. These are all regional kingdoms which came into existence between the Delhi Sultanate and the Mughal Empire. So when was the Delhi Sultanate established? 1206. So 1206 it was established. And when was the Mughal Empire established? 1526. So during this period, a number of kingdoms arose in north and other parts of India. So these are the various kingdoms, so regional kingdoms. So we will be only dealing with the important aspects of these regional kingdoms on your screen. Bahmani Sultanate. So Bahmani Sultanate, who was the founder? You all know, Hasan Gangu. In 1347, he rebelled against Muhammad bin Tughlaq and took the title Abdul Muzaffar Alauddin Bahman Shah and established the Bahmani kingdom with Gulbarga as capital. He called Gulbarga as Asanabad. That was the old name of Gulbarga, Asanabad. Later, the Bahmani Sultans shifted the capital to Bidar. So Bidar became the capital. Both are in Karnataka, Gulbarga and Bidar. And the Bahmani Sultans fought over the Krishna Tungabhadra basin against the Vijayanagar kings. So let us look at the important Bahmani Sultans. First of all, Tajuddin Firoz Shah Bahmani. Firoz Shah Bahmani, you remember, he defeated Devaraya the First. Devaraya the First had to give his daughter in marriage to him. He is the same person. Tajuddin Firoz Shah Bahmani. So he built an observatory at Daulatabad, that is Devagiri, the same place where Muhammad bin Tughlaq had shifted the capital to Devagiri, which is now in present-day Maharashtra. So he built an observatory there. This Tajuddin Firoz Shah Bahmani. Then Ahmad Shah Wali. Wali means saint. Not Shera Wali, or Joga Wali, not that Wali. Here Wali means saint. Why is he called a saint, this Ahmad Shah? Because he was a devotee of this Chisti saint called Khwaja Bande Nawaz Gesudaras. You see, Muhammad bin Tughlaq had shifted the capital from Delhi to Devagiri. So I told you that many people came away to South India, poets, scholars, architects, engineers, etc. They had come away to South India. Of course, Muhammad bin Tughlaq reshifted the capital back to Delhi. But then many of the people who had come away from Delhi, like these architects, engineers, including Sufi saints, they stayed back in South India. And one among the Sufi saints who came to South India was this man, Khwaja Bande Nawaz Gesudaras, right? Um, and this Sultan Ahmad Shah was a disciple of this saint called Gesudaras. We have the Dargah of Gesudaras at Gulbarga, which is visited by both Hindus and Muslims. So this is the tomb of Ahmad Shah Wali at Ashtur in Bidar, and this is the tomb. This is the tomb Dargah. People can come here and pray there, including Hindus. So we have a very syncretic culture in North Karnataka, very surprisingly, because this is down history. So there's a lot of tolerance between the Hindus and the Muslims. So Hindus also go to dargahs and pray there, just as the Muslims are also or have adopted many of the Hindu practices. So I have given a note here, go through it. This was from the Frontline magazine. As you can see, I've put the date also, February 24, 2023. So Ahmad Shah Wali, who shifted the capital from Gulbarga to Bidar, he was defeated by Devaraya II. Then Muhammad Shah III. I told you remember Muhammad Shah III? He had a minister called Mahmud Gawan, who was a foreigner. And he was the one who expanded the Bahmani kingdom. Later, the Deccani Muslims conspired against Mahmud Gawan and got him killed. So this is the same person, Mahmud Gawan. He built a college at Bidar. This is the madrasa. Madrasa means college at Bidar, built by Mahmud Gawan. This was a UPSC question. Okay, Mangalore was the chief port. I have given you all the details. Go through it. Factual information. Okay, so I told you, Deccani Muslims conspired against Gawan, who was an Afaki, and got him killed. And that was the decline, the rapid decline of the Bahmani kingdom. The last king was Shahabuddin Muhammad Shah. So you remember, just 1 year, Mahmud Gawan was killed in 1481. In 1482, we have Shahabuddin Muhammad Shah. He came to power, and within a few years, it declined drastically. And 5 independent kingdoms were born out of this Bahmani kingdom. These are the 5 kingdoms. Remember their dynasty names. Imad Shahis ruled over Birar, Barid Shahis over Bidar, Nizam Shahis over Ahmednagar, Adil Shahis over Bijapur, Qutub Shahis over Golconda. So let us look at the important kings of these dynasties. Birar was the first to break away from the Bahmani kingdom. It was conquered later by Ahmednagar. So both Birar and Ahmednagar are in present-day Maharashtra. So it is easy to remember. Birar, Imad Shahis of Birar, ruled over present-day parts of Maharashtra, including the Nizam Shahis of Ahmednagar. And Ahmednagar is in Maharashtra. So Ahmednagar later conquered Birar. Okay, the Imad Shahis of Birar. So who was the founder of the Imad Shahis? Fatullah Imadul Mulk. He ruled from Gavilgad. Gavilgad has his capital. And Ahmednagar later conquered Birar. Then Barid Shahis of Bidar. Founder was Qasim Barid. So he is the same fellow, the minister who had put his sultan in prison. Okay, so he founded this Barid Shah dynasty, which ruled from Bidar as capital. Bijapur later conquered Bidar, conquered the Barid Shahis of Bidar, Bijapur. So out of these 5 splinter states, you can see here on your screen, out of these 5 splinter states, the most powerful was Bijapur. Bijapur was the most powerful of the Bahmani splinter states. Then Ahmednagar, ruled by the Nizam Shahi dynasty. Founder was Malik Ahmad Nizam Shah. So he transferred the capital from Junnah to Ahmednagar. So Ahmednagar becomes the capital of the Nizam Shahis. And Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, in his Discovery of India, mentions about Malik Ahmad Nizam Shah. Okay, so then you have Shah Jahan conquering Ahmednagar in 1633. So when I did Shivaji story, I told you his father Shahji Bhosle and his grandfather Maloji were serving in the Ahmednagar Sultanate. In 1633, Shah Jahan conquered Ahmednagar. Therefore, you have Shivaji's father and grandfather shifting their loyalties to Bijapur. So remember that? A lot of factual information is there, but then I'm trying to make a connection also. You remember whatever I told you earlier? So Shah Jahan conquers Ahmednagar. And then we come to Bijapur, the strongest amongst the splinter states. Founder was Yusuf Adil Shah. The greatest was, of course, Ibrahim Adil Shah II. We have his tomb at Bijapur. It is called Ibrahim Rauza. So this is Ibrahim Rauza at Bijapur, the tomb of Ibrahim Adil Shah II. And we have this British historian called Henry Cousins. He says this is the best architect. This is the best architecture of the Bijapur Adil Shahis, the Ibrahim Rauza at Bijapur, right? Then we have Muhammad Shah, and we have the famous tomb of Muhammad Shah, which is called Gol Gumbaz. You can see on your screen, this is Gol Gumbaz. So what is so unique about Gol Gumbaz? Anybody here in the class can answer this? Gol Gumbaz, Bijapur. What is so popular about Gol Gumbaz? This largest dome, Himani says 7 times, okay, echo there, very good. Now look here, you see in Gol Gumbaz, this is the tomb of Sultan Muhammad Adil Shah. So this is his tomb. This has the world's second largest dome in the world. It has got the second largest dome in the world. Second largest dome. Now, you might ask, which is the largest dome then? The largest dome is that of the Vatican. St. Peter's Basilica. We have St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, which is the headquarters of the Pope. So the St. Peter's Basilica has the biggest dome in the world. But then please understand, the dome of the St. Peter's Basilica has a supporting pillar. In the middle, there's a supporting pillar supporting the dome. Without a supporting pillar, this dome becomes the biggest in the world. Without a supporting pillar. If you say with a supporting pillar, it is St. Peter's Basilica. And this is the second largest dome after the St. Peter's Basilica's dome at Vatican, Rome. But without a supporting pillar, this becomes the biggest dome in the world. And what is so popular about this particular building is when you climb the stairs and go on top, you have a gallery there on top. Okay. And then it is famously called Whispering Gallery. Whispering Gallery. So if you say hello, you get echo there. Hello, 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 like that 7 times. And in a measuring instrument, 11 times. So popularly called Whispering Gallery. This is the tomb of Muhammad Adil Shah. So Aurangzeb later conquered the Adil Shahis. Aurangzeb in 1686 conquered Bijapur from the Adil Shahis. That was the end of Bijapur. Then we have Golconda, ruled by the Qutub Shahis. So we have some important kings. Kuli Qutub Mulk. Kuli Qutub ul Mulk. He was the one who founded this kingdom, built the Golconda fort also. So outskirts of Hyderabad, about 30 kilometers away, we have this Golconda fort, one of the biggest forts in India, Golconda fort. It was built by the founder, Kuli Qutub ul Mulk. So remember these factual details. I know it is challenging, but then I have put only the most important ones here. Most important points I have put. So at least go through this thoroughly and then supplement that with your reading, textbook reading, one textbook you read. Then Ibrahim Qutub Shah, he built the Hussain Sagar and the Ibrahim Patnam tanks at Hyderabad. So Hyderabad and Sikandrabad are twin cities. People who don't know about this, I'm talking to them. So you have a lake there which connects Hyderabad with Sikandrabad. That is called Hussain Sagar Lake, in the midst of which the Buddha statue has been placed later by the Chief Minister of Andhra, N.T. Ramarao. So here he built the Hussain Sagar Lake. This Ibrahim Qutub Shah, right? Then we have Muhammad Kuli Qutub Shah, who founded the city of Hyderabad. And you see, you have, what is the old name of Hyderabad? Bhagyanagar. So we are told that there was a girl called Bhagyamati. Understand this? Bhagyamati. She was a poor girl, very good looking girl. She was the daughter of a blacksmith. She was the daughter of a blacksmith and she was very, very good looking. Two sultans wanted to marry her and they fought a war for her. And one of the sultans who won the war was this man, Muhammad Kuli Qutub Shah. He married Bhagyamati and he founded a city in her name called Bhagyanagar, which later became Hyderabad. This was a 1 crore kaun banega crorepati question. 1 crore kaun banega crorepati question. I was sitting in my house and watching that program. Unfortunately, I was not on the hot seat. Otherwise, I would have won 1 crore. So I felt very bad that day, but can't help it. So this is Hyderabad. The old name is Bhagyanagar, after Bhagyamati. Are you there with me? Right? So what about Taj Mahal Dome? Taj Mahal Dome is not the biggest in the world. Okay, so then of course Charminar. He also built Charminar, entrance gateway called Charminar. Muhammad Kuli Qutub Shah. So this is Charminar for you in Hyderabad. And then Muhammad Qutub Shah. Muhammad Qutub Shah built the Makkah Masjid. He laid the foundation. It was completed by Aurangzeb. It's called Makkah Masjid. It is near Charminar in Hyderabad. Then Abdullah Qutub Shah. He acted as a vassal of Shah Jahan. He patronized a scholar called Kshatraya, who wrote erotic poems called Padams. The last king was Abul Hasan Tanasha. Abul Hasan Tanasha was defeated by Aurangzeb, and Aurangzeb put him in prison. And later, when Abul Hasan Tanasha died, he has been buried at Khultabad, the same place where Aurangzeb has been buried, in that particular village of Khultabad near Aurangabad. So that was the end of the Qutub Shahid dynasty of Golconda. Then we have the Eastern Gangas of Orissa. I have just 5 minutes to go. So in whatever time I have, I will do this. I can complete it always on Monday. It will take about 10 minutes to complete medieval India, and then I will start with art and culture from Monday onwards. So till the time is remaining, another 5 minutes, we'll go back go on. Eastern Gangas of Orissa. Why they're called Eastern Gangas? Because we have a Western Gangas. Western Gangas ruled from Talakad in Karnataka. They ruled from Talakad near Mysore. So these are the Eastern Gangas who ruled over Orissa, right? And what was the capital? Kalinga Nagari was their capital. They built a number of temples between 11th and 13th century. For example, Lingaraja temple at Bhubaneswar and the Jagannath temple at Puri, built by whom? Anantavarman Chodaganga in the 11th century. This is the Lingaraja temple at Bhubaneswar to the left of your screen. So we are going on a temple tour in the last 5 minutes of this particular class. Lingaraja temple at Bhubaneswar, Jagannath temple at Puri. We will discuss the architecture later when we do art and culture as part of architecture topic. Then, of course, the Sun Temple at Konark. This is Sun Temple at Konark. It is in ruins now. The dome is almost collapsing. It was built by Narsimha Deva in the 13th century. It is also called Black Pagoda, the Sun Temple at Konark. So this was built by the Eastern Gangas kings of Orissa. Then we have the Shamir dynasty, which ruled Kashmir. Shamir dynasty. They ruled from Alauddinpur, that is Srinagar has capital. Srinagar was called Alauddinpur. Who was the greatest of the Shamir kings? Zainul Abidin. Zainul Abidin is called the Akbar of Kashmir. Akbar of Kashmir. Why he is called Akbar of Kashmir? Because of his tolerant policy. So he abolished jizya. He did not engage in forcible conversions. He repaired a number of Hindu temples. He visited Amarnath cave and paid respects to the shrine of Amarnath. So all these things he did. Therefore, he is called as the Akbar of Kashmir, Zainul Abidin, a 15th century ruler of Kashmir. Then he also patronized these two scholars, Junaraja and Srivara, who wrote Rajatarangini Part 2. This is a sequel to the Rajatarangini written by Kalhana. So Kalhana writes Rajatarangini, which talks about the history of Kashmir from ancient times to the 12th century AD. From the 13th century to the 17th century or 16th century, we have Part 2 of Rajatarangini, written by these two scholars, Junaraja and Srivara, who were patronized by Zainul Abidin of Kashmir. He also constructed an artificial island in the midst of a lake. We have the Wular Lake in Kashmir. This is the picture of the Wular Lake. In the midst of this lake, he built an island, an artificial island. And there he constructed a palace and a mosque. So this is Zainul Abidin for you. Then Sharki dynasty, which ruled Jaunpur, Sharki kings. So you have Malik Sarwar Sharki. He rebelled against Firuz Tughlaq and founded the Sharki dynasty of Jaunpur. Jaunpur in UP, that was their capital. So he built the Atala Devi Mosque. Hussain Shah Sharki. He built the Atala Devi Mosque in Jaunpur. So this is the masjid called Atala Devi Masjid. Why is it called Atala Devi Masjid? Because it was built after renovating a temple, a goddess temple called Atala Devi. So a temple has been converted into a mosque. So that is called Atala Devi Masjid. Sometime in the 15th century, 1408 or so, he built it. Right, Hussain Shah Sharki. So we'll stop here. I have run out of time. I have to continue from Ilyashahi Kingdom. I'll discuss this in about 10 minutes time on Monday. So you have a great weekend. You revise your lessons and we'll come back and start with art and culture on Monday onwards. Okay. Yasin, I will talk to the backend team and see whether you could do combined study. You want the contacts of some of your batchmates for combined study. I'll see. I'll see whether that can be allowed. I will talk to the backend team. Okay. Yeah, it was a temple converted into a mosque, Rajneesh. Yeah, I will talk to the people. Sikh Gurus, I will discuss when I do Bhakti and Sufi movement. When I do Bhakti and Sufi movement, all the 10 Sikh Gurus will be discussed. Okay, Sandhu. Okay, book. I understand. I have no answer to give you about the books. But I'll again reiterate. I will talk to the backend team, and they will contact you. Prelim series, when it will start, I don't know, Komal. I'll again ask them. I'll note down all these things in my mind and I'll talk to them. Okay. So you have a great weekend, safe weekend. We'll meet on Monday. So thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed this session. I might have gone a little fast because of the factual nature of the topic, but I'll give you an overview of Vijayanagara. So that should be, once you understood the overview, the rest all is factual. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll meet on Monday, same time.